Hello again, race fans, and welcome to the greatest day in sim racing. This is the 2025 Indianapolis 500, part of the BiS Doppler IndyCar series, and you're watching Pit Road Productions. Today, 33 of the fastest drivers on iRacing take the green at the virtual Brickyard in a race where history is written one lap at a time. And this year, the field is more global than ever. 9 different nations are represented, from the United Kingdom to the United States, India to Argentina, Chile, Uzbekistan, Poland, Canada, and as far as Australia. At the top of the storylines, Shane Larson, the championship leader, has been relentless all season long so far. He has been calm under pressure and clinical when it counts. But starting at the front is Mitch Green, who set the pace in qualifying and looks ready to convert speed into something bigger. They won't have it easy. Ian Pagadala is gunning for redemption. Andrew Harden rides in with momentum after a win. And the likes of Mauricio Parada, Ozzie Mulwayne, and Ben Colley are pure threats at full throttle. Veterans, newcomers, and fearless chargers alike, Eric Fenson, Clay Morris, Caden Goodridge, each one believing they can drink the virtual milk today. The conditions are tricky, the nerves are real, and for 125 laps, it's all about discipline, daring, and destiny. This is BiS, powered by Doppler, and the 2025 Indy 500 kilometers starts now. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Daniel Zippy Salmon, and joining me in the booth today is going to be Reese, the Southpaw Racer Garda, and we have a new producer for this week, Mr. Christian Delgado. A huge welcome to him. Reese, I understand you've got a word from our sponsor.
I do indeed, Zippy. Welcome to the show, everybody. Of course, BiS is powered by Doppler this season. Doppler, securing your secrets. Developers, stop storing API keys and credentials in plain text. Doppler is the ultimate secrets manager, built to keep your environment variables safe, organized, and always in sync across every team and every environment. With Doppler, you can manage secrets effortlessly, sync across local, staging, and production, eliminate ENV file chaos, and integrate seamlessly with AWS, Vercel, GitHub, and more. Join thousands of teams securing their workflows with Doppler. Start for free at Doppler.com today. Doppler, the secret ops platform developers trust. We want to really thank Doppler for coming on board for the IndyCar Championship this year. It's absolutely gone off. We've had a massive amount of competition in this series, and the track we're racing at today is, of course, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Legendary, imposing, and absolutely unforgiving. Measuring 2.5 miles with 4 deceptively simple corners, this oval is a pure test of speed, precision, and nerve. We launch into turn 1 at over 230 miles per hour, threading the needle through a narrow line with no room for error. Every corner looks the same, but each one behaves differently with wind, track temperature, and traffic. Turns 1 and 3 are invitations, turns 2 and 4 are the trapdoors. Miss your mark by an inch, and the wall is waiting. On the face of it, it looks simple, but all 4 turns have a distinct personality, and each one can bite in different ways. Keep in mind, these drivers will not only drive 4 different corners for 125 laps, but they will do it tweaking their car's balance with in-car tools, depending on free air in the draft, how many cars, how many laps on the tires, where the wind is blowing, what their fuel level is. One wrong move and it's over. It's all about balance between bravery and discipline, aggression and control. This is the Speedway, and this is the Indy 500.
Oh, definitely one of the long-awaited tracks here for BiS. But let's take a quick look about where they've gone and indeed where they are going to go. Ladies and gentlemen, calendar, the schedule, the one and only. So we did start at Sebring before we head over to Long Beach. Mosport, the BiS home track, before Barber. And then we are here for round 5 for the Indy 500. Next round, heading over to Detroit with the Indy Grand Prix of Road America for round 7, and Portland, one of the newer tracks to the iRacing service, closing out the season. But we do have some specific details here for this Indy 500 event.
Yeah, for sure we do.
Carry on, Reese, by all means.
All right. The pole shootout we had last week. Bit of an interesting qualifying format for this event. We had a last few qualifying sessions running just before the race server went up, with positions 21 to 33 to be finalized. But basically, that's all we've got to deal with today. 500 kilometers, 125 laps of Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It is a fixed setup series, so the drivers will be driving effectively the same cars, but they can tune a lot of things like wedge or base the equivalent of wedge, anti-roll bars, and etc. Drivers are going to need fuel to make it to the end of the race, so it's going to be a massive strategy battle this race.
Oh, definitely. And certainly, this race is not one that is going to be won in the first corner, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely not. There's going to be a lot more strategy to it. But definitely, I'm actually looking really forward to it so far. And maybe we should take a quick look at the point standings. So as you can see here, Shane Larson is the top of the food chain with Caden Goodrich just 77 points behind. Ricochet Solowedge, new this season at BIS, a huge welcome to him for Fury Sim Sports. He's out here rocking in that third place position. Andrew Harvin just 8 points behind with Ian Pakadala closing out the top 5. As we take a look at the team's championship as well, Fury Sim Sports Black, they're on the top spot, 49 points ahead of Hyperion Racing, with Nikardenbev Motorsports actually a little bit of a loss tonight. Assad Nikardenbev not able to make it this evening. A prime points opportunity for them, but they're in third with MTC Motorsports in fourth, and then Doppler Britannia iSports there in fifth.
Indeed, very close point standings, only 1 point separating AV Esports and Speeding Saddles there. And of course, we will have only a few rounds of the season remaining. So it's very important that that the teams and the drivers get the results they need here today. It's a long and difficult race, this one. And I mean, obviously, it's not quite the length of the real world Indy 500, the race taking place over 500 miles, not kilometers. But I think the same philosophy is going to hold true for this one. It's going to be all about saving fuel in the slipstream, trying to push your car as long as you can, so that you set yourself up for that final stint. In Australia, we say buying a ticket to the end. That's basically what you got to do here.
Yeah, definitely. And the strategy is going to be a absolutely massive part of this. Definitely want to try and keep the car clean as long as possible. And look at that, Pit Road Productions in P11 in the team's championship. That's fantastic. I will indeed take that action. Not that I am a biased opinion, so I appear to have... oh, there we go. I'm back. I was going to say I got better looking for a second, hiding there in the shadows. But I've got to say, Reese, Indy 500, definitely more up your cup of tea. I'm more of a road course guy, but definitely what would be your approach into this scenario?
As I said, fuel saving from the very start. It's all well and good tandem slipstreaming and going back and forth into the corners, but you need to look after the tires. You need to look after the fuel tank. I believe that there isn't a fuel cap for this race, unless Mike Broomhead or someone involved with the administration can correct me on that. So we're basically going to be expecting the stints to last anywhere from 27 to 32 laps, depending on how much the drivers save fuel. You can change the fuel map in these cars. If you're at the front of the field, you're running full rich. And if you are running in the slipstream, then you're basically dialing the fuel map all the way back so that you use as little fuel as possible while staying in touch with the drivers ahead of you. Cautions are going to change all of that as well. Big potential for those. So yeah, that all changes the strategy. But basically what you're going to be looking for is, well, 125 laps minus about 27 or so. We're looking at around about lap 95 or so for being the critical lap to get to the end. Drivers who pit around then will be good on fuel to the end.
Yeah, definitely reach there with the strategy, and certainly any full course yellows can indeed be problematic. But definitely, you know what? It's strategy can make or break a race. Definitely, you can work out in your favor if you do have any damage or you do find the tires are starting to wear off. Then a full course yellow comes out. That could absolutely work out being perfect. But sadly, that is not always the case. It can go on the opposite end as well. You can come out of the pits and then find a full course yellow comes out. So certainly, it can indeed go either way. But Reese, I've got to admit, it's definitely been a spicy one. We had a really enjoyable pole day as well. Incredibly close competition.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw some incredible driving and some amazing speed. being pulled up by the drivers over their 4-lap runs to round out the top 10. Of course, when the session ticks over, we'll be able to go through that grid and what a grid it's going to be. I'm really interested to see what the likes of Shane Larson will be able to do. Championship leader, of course, coming into this round that we saw in the lead up, but he didn't exactly qualify on the front row. So there's going to be a lot of work for him to do.
Yeah, definitely. We will take a look at that grid very, very shortly. We've got a nice little video we can have a look at as well. I'm kind of excited about that, see exactly what Mike Broomhead has concocted. Definitely very handy with the graphical side. I've got to give him credit where due, and embraced him in every other area as we typically we do here at Pit Road Productions. But Brennan in 29 with Christian Gritzko alongside with a little bit of a flex there, I've got to admit. And as we head back to Cedrico Hine, fresh off his real life racing at Mosport, ladies and gentlemen, in a real radical race car. Great to see him back. As is John Benvelid, just got into racing radicals as well. Absolutely stoked to have him on the real track. And then not only that, he has a Pit Road Production sticker on his race car and indeed a BIS one. So fantastic stuff there as we head down a little further through the field. Marshall Crocker Jr., the AM champion for the 24-25 Radical Amateur Cup.
Indeed, Rishab Jain and James Carter on P19 and P20, the 10th row of the grid. Phil Nellis from Radical Canada and Scott Bartine here from Australia. Going to be driving alongside Eric Fenson there. Richard Swindells and Assad Nakardambev on the 8th row of the grid. Our league administrator, Michael Broomhead, starting lucky 13th alongside Matthias Marcamini, who's making his BIS debut there, hailing from Argentina. Clovis Girard and Harlan Goulbourne, last drivers outside the top 10.
Have a look in the top 10. You would have seen these gentlemen in pole day. You got Caden Goodridge again racing in real life in the Radical Cup. Great to see him out on the track. Aaron Fenson, the Australian driver, and obviously Reese's favourite at this point. Not that he's biased, not that I'm biased, ladies and gentlemen. He's there with Ozzy Milwain. He is a former Radical Pro champion here at BIS alongside the championship leader of Shane Larson. As we head over, Andrew Harbin, definitely looking to see a lot from him. Ben Colley really redefining pole day with some different tactics. It's definitely paid off. But Mitch Green is going to be your pole sitter with Clay Morris alongside in P2.
Indeed, of course. In iRacing, there's no way to do the 3-wide start without some kind of admin shenanigans. So they will be starting 2x2 for the grid today. But ultimately, that doesn't mean much because the opening laps are still going to be just as frenetic. We still have only a minute left until this race goes off. The drivers are just getting their final preparations in right now in the warm-up session. And, these twin-turbo V6s are going to be singing very, very soon.
Oh, definitely. That sounds like my kind of engine configuration. Not just one turbo, a pair of them, ladies and gentlemen. And not only that, a V6. Certainly, interesting fact about V6s, even V8s as well, is you often find that they can sound very differently. And that's actually a lot to do with the angle of the V. If I remember rightly, the tighter the angle, the better the sound. Obviously, you get the big 90-degree V8, which sounds like a bit deep, a bit rumbly. And forgive me if I'm wrong, this is just my very limited understanding. But certainly, if you start getting a very shallow angle, oh yeah.
Yeah, indeed. I think that's a reason why the Formula One V6 turbos have a sort of deeper tone than the IndyCar V6s because they actually have quite a wide angle, the F1 V6s. But hey, I see a black screen. I see the session switching over. It looks like we're getting ready to go in for the race, Zippy.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. Certainly, a bit of a longer intro today than we would normally have, ladies and gentlemen, but it looks like we are going to be primed and ready. The drivers are indeed out and about on the track, at least a couple of them there, having a couple of practice laps as we are indeed going to be getting ready for that grid.
Absolutely. Well, as the session switches over and the grid is put in, we'll go through it one more time as they start finding their way onto the formation lap. Mitch Green, of course, starting on the pole for this one, and Clay Morris will be joining him on the front row. Very close competition there, but Mitch Green was able to gather so much speed out of the you know, the field. Sorry, my brain is skipping over itself a little bit. Basically, what I'm trying to say, Zippy, is Mitch Green was fast on qualifying day. He was able to get a lot of speed out of that car that no one else could.
Yeah, definitely. He did indeed pull off some interesting techniques indeed, and it certainly paid off for him. He had incredible pace. Looks like we've got to do a little bit of a refresh on the paints in the session as well. Certainly, I know Clay Morris's paint by heart because it's got a big Radical logo all over it, and certainly a big fan of Radical Canada here on Pit Road Productions. Very much looking forward to getting to drive a real one. That's definitely a little bit nerve-wracking, to be honest, but definitely an opportunity I am not going to pass down. As we're going to head down to the second row with Ben Colley and Andrew Harmon before we head to row 3 of Shane Larson and Ozzie Milwayne. Mauricio Parada is going to be on row 4 alongside Eric Fenson with Caden Goodridge and Ian Pagadala closing out your top 10.
Indeed, moving through that top 10 that we saw on the grid graphic. Moving back to row 6, it's Clovis Girard and Harland Goulbourne, 11th and 12th. And Michael Broomhead starting alongside Matthias Marcamini on the next row. In 15th place, Richard Swindells from Pit Road Productions. Phil Nellers is going to start alongside him. Rishabh Jain and James Carter on the next row, row number 9, with the top 20 rounded out by Cade Middleton and Marshall Crocker Jr. In 21st, Daniel Blanco, driver that I remember encountering when I first started sim racing all the way back in the late 2000s, starting alongside John Benvalid, who is a massive defender. Tyler Scarali and Cedric O'Hyan on row 12, with Nicholas Colander in 25th, starting alongside Christian Gritzko. And our final row of the grid, we don't quite have the full 33 cars here. Kostek Soloviev and Nelson Mason. We are halfway around the formation lap as things stand here, Zippy, and Mitch Green is going to be controlling the start from here. This is going to be a massive, massive start, lining up for turn 1, which is a bit more difficult than you'd expect.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those things where you definitely want to make sure that, you know, you don't go and overdo it. You got to weigh up the risk versus reward. Definitely these drivers are going to be keen to get going, but it is a 500-kilometer race, ladies and gentlemen. Super hard into turn 1.
Indeed. Well, it's, making the rare appearance is the old Mustang iRacing pace car. It's been a while since I've seen that. Good to see it back out here. But pulling into the pits, the green flag is upon us here. 125 laps of Indianapolis Motor Speedway coming up right now as the green flag flies, and it looks like a bit of a jump from further back. A lightning start there from Cade Middleton. I get the feeling that he didn't quite get the start down. The caution has already been called here by race control, but there's been a crash in the lower midfield.
Absolutely massive crash. And I can see even just as we got started, the 35 car, Rishabh Jain, did indeed get a black flag. I can tell you Tyler Scarali, I think that's him there in the pits. He's got a meatball flag, as does Christian Gritzko and Mike Broomhead. Actually, both of the Doppler Britannia iSport cars taken out before the end of the first lap.
Yeah, okay, so it looks like Rishabh Jain got into Michael Broomhead there once the caution had been called. Yeah, it looks like there was, I'm not exactly sure why the caution was called there. The caution was already active when this crash happened. Something went wrong there on the start. The green flag run is something we should get a replay of too, because it looks like Rishabh Jain jumped on the throttle off the green flag, getting into the back of Richard Swindells a little bit. And then Cade Middleton followed him through. Look at them a bit further back to the right side of your screen. There they go. And, well, Jain was already carrying some damage as Middleton went up the field there. And behind them, the caution's called at this point. And then Jain makes contact with Broomhead, and they end up, they end up getting into the wall.
That's definitely not the start that we were looking for, I've got to admit, but a spicy one nonetheless as you see that pace car coming back out. And if I'm not mistaken, there is indeed no fast repair, so an absolutely detrimental start for a good number of drivers there. Christian Gritzko, Rishab Jain. Well, Rishab Jain did indeed jump that start. That's why I would say they've got the black flag. Tyler Scarelli, Broomhead, Phil Nels looks like he got caught up potentially in that as well, as did Nelson Mason. So absolutely catastrophic start here at the BIS, the Doppler BIS Indy 500.
Well, it's too early to pit for fuel. I think if you were at the back of the grid, though, it probably would be handy to come into the pits and just top up the tank. You'd be able to push the tank a little bit further. 125 laps, though. Considering the fuel numbers that I was talking about earlier, if we have a full fuel tank at our disposal, the race should be easily completable on just 3 pit stops. You just need to make sure that you're not burning too much fuel. And if you're the car out front, like Clay Morris is, taking the lead off Mitch Green, you're going to be the one punching the hole in the air for everyone else. You're going to be using a lot more fuel there just to keep the speed up.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely for sure, indeed. As you can see, Clay Morris is currently going to be sat on the top step ahead of Mitch Green, Andrew Harvin. A lot of the lead pack able to emerge victorious. Actually, it's worked out quite well for a couple of our drivers. Nicholas Kalander up 6 spots, as is Costa Solowich. He's up 7. So definitely some good news for some. Daniel Blanco making up 5 spots as well. But Broomhead taking a 13th place hit.
It looks like Phil Nell is also involved in the crashes in the pits too. Broomhead and Gritzko as well in the pit lane. I think Gritzko might have been involved in something as well off of that. Phil has managed to get repairs done on his car. There he was, coming back out onto the circuit. Unfortunately, losing a couple of laps here under caution. It looks like we're going to be seeing Broomhead back out there very shortly as well. I'm not sure why Christian Gritzko towed back to pit lane though.
Yeah, definitely. I'm seeing he does indeed have a meatball flag, and it actually, I can see there is one fast repair available, so some good news here for some of the drivers, albeit definitely not when you want to use it. Something 125 laps, I think I would rather keep that in the bag. If anything, I would honestly have probably kept that fast repair in the back pocket. Don't get me wrong, it's a safety car, but with so much there available, you know what, if other incidents occur, I think I would have tried to hope on them to try and unlap myself. Oh, cool.
Yeah. Unfortunately, waiver rounds don't really come into play until the race has negotiated quite a few of its laps. But lights are off on the pace car, and we are about to get back to green flag running here. All of the cars that towed back to pit lane under the first caution are now back out onto the circuit. So that's good to see, but we have multiple laps down for Rishab Jain, Christian Gritzko, Michael Broomhead, Phil Nels, and Nelson Mason. Pace car in, and Clay Morris is going to lead us away to the start here. Green flag flies, and away we go once again. All the way up to full power for Morris being the first car in the train. And finally, race start gets off here, 5 laps into the race.
Well, hopefully we can go a few laps cleaner. As I can tell you that Rishab Jain does indeed still have that black flag from what it's telling me. I don't think it's been cleared under yellow flag conditions, so no surprises there. As you see them bobbing, weaving, fighting for position. That's Shane Larson who's just gone and sent it down up on the inside. Is it going to pay off for him? You can see there, looking to make a move, and he's managed to slingshot himself up 2 positions into 3rd, going alongside with Clay Morris, almost touching there as they're heading around the left-hander.
Side by side behind as well between Hardman and Milwain, and they managed to sort themselves out there, but a little bit of slipstream will be needed. Very aggressive moves from Larson here in the early stages to get himself back up the order. Into 3rd, massive crash! Oh goodness, Sakat just fired into the wall back there.
Collie.
I don't know who it was Ben Colley.
Yeah, the teammate of Andrew Hardman, and it's fair to say that that thing now looks more like a 3-wheeled vacuum cleaner, as the yellow flag has indeed returned to the session. That pace car getting ready to leave the pits.
Oh no, that car is destroyed. And yeah, the whole reason that happened here as we rewind is Mauricio Parada got into the rear of him there. It looked like some aggressive switching around from Cade Middleton, who is replacing Joey Haynes for this race. And it looks like Parada might have been caught out by that weaving and took the inside line into turn one. Collie turning down when the car may have just had a tiny bit of overlap, but obviously not enough to really justify him being there. And Collie went for a massive ping pong game with the wall.
Yeah, that looked like it hurt, Reese.
It certainly hurt. It's hurt Ben Collie's race because Collie started the race up in third place there. So he's already suffered quite a bit of drama in this race, and that has just completely destroyed any chance he's going to have of even getting onto the lead lap. That damage is going to take ages to repair.
Yeah, definitely, but I can tell you that he has not used his fast repair, so that could indeed be his saving grace. Don't get me wrong, a lot of drivers already having to cash that in, and we're not even 10 laps in at this point, Reese.
Second caution, 10 laps in. Does anyone go for the pit lane? Well, I believe they have to go around for a lap before pit lane officially opens. Into the lane comes Cade Middleton, and no surprise to see that Cade's in there. He's lost part of his front wing, and front wing is pretty important around here for getting that grip on the front of the car.
Yeah, definitely you do need that aero, especially when you're doing speeds of 228 mile an hour. It's fair to say every little part is there for a reason. If not, they wouldn't have put it on the car. And aero is a huge part of it, especially at those speeds. I can't give you downforce numbers, but certainly, it wouldn't be surprising to have a few metric tons of pressure being applied, pushing the tires into the asphalt here, certainly at the speeds that these guys are doing.
The cars are very trimmed out for this event, but the front wing's still very important for the balance of the car through these corners, particularly on turn-in. Well, out of the pits they will come, Cade Middleton and Kostek Soloviev, who has come in for a short stop to get the fuel tank back up to full brim. Fuel is a little bit more important than tires in terms of strategy, but we do have a track temp of about 46 degrees Celsius, which means the tires are going to heat up a fair bit. It's only partly cloudy out there, so the sun is hitting the racetrack. We may very well see that track temperature rise as the afternoon goes on. So we'll see how the car balance looks when the tires are worn down and overheated.
Yeah, certainly at these kinds of speeds, it's definitely a very realistic option, and tyre management is indeed going to be a part of this. Myself, whenever I approach an oval race, I honestly think about the tyres first of all. I predict that incidents will indeed happen, and I try to use that as part of my strategy, Reese. Honestly, I just try and stay with the lead pack, coast as much as I can, and try and beat them in the pits, and then use the pit cycle to my advantage. But I've got to say, we're at 2 full course yellows and not even on lap 10.
Well, Ben Collie has completed repairs there. Looks like he got the fast repair done after the tow time was complete, and he has lost a lap or two to the rest of the field. Well, potentially, cautions coming up further will benefit him, because if you're the first car in line in the caution, you likely get a wave around. I'm not entirely clear on the rules surrounding that, but we'll have to wait and see how that works out here for Ben Collie and the like. Meanwhile, up the front of the field, the lights are out once again on the pace car, and we'll be getting the start going again very, very soon. Mitch Green, the fastest driver on pole day, and he really knows how to work this car. We'll see what he can do to hold off Morris and Larson, because, with that little bit of racing we got in between these cautions, Shane Larson is looking like a sudden factor here on race day.
Yeah, he's definitely not somebody I would rule out, as the lights are indeed out on that pace car. I gotta say, the iRacing logo almost sprawled across the hood of that Mustang. I do wonder if the Mustang indeed did drive into somebody and then they just spray painted around the edges. I could believe that being how the logo was indeed designed, and just a little bit of criticism on Mustangs, I guess. But it looks like Mitch Green is going to be getting ready to take us to the green flag. Definitely, you see a lot of these drivers in single file, as there we go. Go, baby, go. Mitch Green in that number 7 machine puts the hammer down at the brickyard.
Further back, Ariane Pagadala almost got a run on Eric Fenson, but it's a dominant lead there for Green as Larson has moved ahead of Clay Morris into second place. Shane Larson, being the championship leader coming into this round, he's going to get as many points as he can today to try and solidify that championship lead. He's already in the slipstream of Mitch Green. Meanwhile, Andrew Hardman going for third on Clay Morris, just behind. Move is complete into turn 3, and it looks like Ozzy Milwane's going to try and follow him through here. They've got Eric Fenson right with them too. 3-car battle for the last position on the podium running. And, well, Fenson and Pagadala have stuck with these guys too. We also see Parada and Goodridge there too. Some very close racing here into turn 1, as Milwane is going to have a go at Morris now.
Yeah, Milwane has managed to move himself up into P3, but again, it doesn't matter which position you are right now. It's lap 11 of 125. You just want to try and stay with that lead pack, as you see the bobbing, the weaving, the swerving, the curving of these cars just trying to make their way up through the podiums.
To try and get into something resembling a rhythm here. The race typically falls into a little cadence that you'll see over the course of these longer runs, but the drivers are still trying to sort out their running positions here. Hearing that car 36, Cedric O'Hyan, has gotten himself a mechanical black flag. Looks like there's been a crash for him, as he'll pull into the pits to get that car repaired, and it certainly looks worse for wear there, particularly on the left front. That tells me that he collected the inside wall somewhere.
Yeah, definitely a little bit unfortunate for the number 36 car, Cedric O'Hyan, the Lima Racing Machine, and very biased opinion, but huge fan over here, as a little bit of a alternative approach to the pit stop there, just trying to get that car stopped. Understandably, it's got damage, but we're going to return back to the racing here, ladies and gentlemen, as the battle for the lead does indeed carry on with number 7 of Mitch Green.
Yeah, Shane Larson is caught right up to him here in turns 1 and 2, and it looks like Ozzy Milwane is jetting up to the back of them as well. Fenson is trying to follow. It just looks like Clay Morris is slower here in the initial stages of the race. He's potentially running that lower fuel map than the other drivers around him, and they're getting caught out by it. We'll have to see how it turns out. I went back to check on what happened to Ohio. It was a very bizarre incident. He actually steered right into the pit wall on the start-finish straight. It didn't seem like there was anything necessarily wrong with the car, so some kind of issue there for the number 36, but his pit stop has been complete. He's gotten a fresh car. He's back out there. The top 3 still fighting in through turns 1 and 2. But you'll see here that though Larson and Milwane were very aggressive getting their way up to the front, I think they're going to be sticking behind Mitch Green for a while. This is their opportunity to save more fuel.
Yeah, definitely. If you can save fuel, this could indeed work out very much a winning strategy in the long run, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly, you got to think about that whenever you have an endurance race. But all things considered, I see Christian Gritzko's just picked up a black flag as well. I'm not entirely sure why. Phil Nels, he's managed to pick up a meatball flag, and his fast repair has indeed already been used. It'll be interesting to see what happens there, but certainly it does look like we're getting a couple of different packs emerging right now, as if you look back from P4 to P5, ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Hardman has lost touch with that lead pack by about 1.1 seconds.
Yeah, it took a while to get past Clay Morris there. He and Mauricio Parada have found their way past, and you see Morris back there in the yellow and red machine getting pressured by Ariane Pagadala now. Changes for position further back as well. The 18 of Marshall Crocker Jr. has just passed Clovis Girard, and that... Whoa, dear! Oh, no! Oh, I was just about to say that Crocker had the most positions gained in the field, but he and Harlan Goulbourne have come together.
I gotta say, in their defense, though, they managed that incident beautifully. That could have been a lot worse, and they almost got tangled together. Well, they did get tangled together, and thankfully they was able to keep it down up on the apron. As you see there, that looked like Tyler Scarelli, who absolutely blew by in that bright green car, the number 15 there. As yeah, could have definitely been a lot worse. Very unfortunate, but thankfully a repairable incident.
Yeah, Crocker, it looked like, was a bit too aggressive on the dive at turn 3, it looks like. The problem is with running that tighter line when you're trying to go for a move, you're heating up the tires more, and once you get to the apex, the front tires can just get beyond that point where they're at their optimum grip, and you'll just understeer up the circuit and into the car beside you. That's exactly what happened for Marshall Crocker Jr. Harlan Goulbourne didn't really do anything wrong there. He left room to the inside, but yeah, Crocker just going for the inside line and suffering understeer. And that's what brought out this caution here. Mitch Green still up the front here. Oh, I saw a bit of a fake out from the 31 of Larson, but they're all coming into the lane here. Up at the front, just about all of them. Eric Fenson is staying out, so is Andrew Hardman. But we have Green, Larson, Milwain, Parada, Morris, Blanco, and Colander in the pit lane.
Yeah, I'd actually be keen to see if the 64 cross-sec solo edge. I just seen there, just in the camera, just caught it there, the on-pit entry. He did look pretty close to that white line, and I do wonder if he will indeed be penalised for it. It looks like he's managed to get away with it, but certainly I have indeed learnt the hard way on more than one occasion that having the correct pit entry procedure is crucial to having success.
Nice quick pit stops just to top up the field. Looks like fresh tyres for a lot of them as well. So Mitch Green is going to lead the way out of pit lane here. And leading of the cars that have already come in for a stop, Tyler Scarelli and Cade Middleton. Now they pitted some laps ago under either the first or the second caution. So that's going to set them up here for, you know, a little bit of nice running here for track position in the early stages, but give it another maybe 20 laps or so for Scarelli, and he's going to have to come into the lane. He'll be hoping that it's not under green flag conditions, because otherwise he'll be right at the back.
Yeah, definitely. If you can get your pits done under a safety car, it is way better bang for buck, and for sure, definitely what you want to try and get done, albeit ideally we'd rather have a good bit of clean running. But as I have a look through this race, a lot of these drivers have already used their fast repair up. I have a quick look now. Phil Nels is he's in 28th. If I go all the way up to, hang on, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, give me a minute here, Reese. 7, 8, 9. The bottom 9 drivers, apart from Daniel Blanco with the 27 car, have all indeed used their fast repair. So certainly, I'd honestly feel very lucky if I was in a position yet where I've managed to keep that in the bank.
Good news for Ben Colley. He's managed to get back onto the lead lap, and that's going to be very crucial for him. Spending that 3 minutes in the lane getting those repairs done. But he'll be able to work his way up here. He just needs to take care. And I think that's something that we're seeing in these early stages, is incidents are largely being caused by drivers not taking the due amount of care when they're trying to pass here. It's all well and good to be quick and go for those moves, but you need to make sure that you pull them off cleanly. And in these early stages, when you're still getting used to the sort of ebb and flow, the rhythm of this race, sometimes it's better to just hang behind for a few more corners and assess the situation from afar.
Yeah, definitely. And I think in this race, honestly, as much as it would be beneficial to be higher up the pack, my rather reserved approach to an endurance race, especially an oval one, would have been to just try and hang out at the back and try and make up some attrition. Actually, speaking of attrition, let's have a quick look at the number 15 car of Tyler Scarelli. He's currently managed to make his way up 15 spots in total, despite getting caught up earlier in I think it was in the lap 1 incident. He's used his fast repair, but an incredible 15 spots gained, and the hard charger in the grid right now.
Yes, that's largely due to him being one of the first to come into pit lane with a quick stop to get the fuel brimmed back up. So let's see what he can do here from 8th spot, with the majority of the cars around him on lighter fuel tanks and worn tyres. There's been a start incident behind. The caution is immediately back out. It looks like Parada and Crocker Jr. falling down the order. So is
Oh.
Goulbourne, Milwane, and Blanco. Oh, dear.
Well, I can tell you that there has been an absolute influx of meatball flags now, including the 31 of Shane Larson. Ladies and gentlemen, Shane Larson, championship leader, has indeed been caught in this carnage. Ozzy Milwane as well, the previous Radical Pro-Am champion, well, actually Pro champion, for BiS Radical Canada Cup. He's been caught in it, the number 14. Mitch Green's been caught in it as well, the number 7. And indeed, Harlan Goulbourne in the 127. Huge, huge shake-up in the field. We're going to replay that.
We are. So you'll see a checkup happen here, and yeah, that is not ideal. So it looks like the checkup was started by James Carter in the number 98. Unfortunately, the likes of Rishabh Jain and co were caught out by that, and Mitch Green and Mauricio Parada, they already tried getting up to speed, but they had to jump on the brakes. And Parada went right into the back of Green, and that resulted in the track getting effectively blocked. Trying to find his way through was Nelson Mason, but he went right into the midst of Milwane and Jain there.
Yeah, definitely not the incident that any of these guys were looking for. Tyler Sgrelly, I've got to say, he's done well out of it. He's still managed to hold on to P7, up 16 spots now. And it's worked out as well for BiS newcomer, the 777 of Mateus Marcomini. He's currently up in P4, ladies and gentlemen. 10 positions gained. Power to him. But what I do see here is an opportunity for Andrew Hardman and Caden Goodridge, as I have a feeling they may have just been shaken up in the order a little bit.
Well, Andrew Hardman, Caden Goodridge, Cade Middleton and John Benvalid taking their opportunity to jump into the pits here and brim the tank up again. Oh, that looks like a bit of a overshoot there from Caden Goodridge. That's going to cost him a little bit of time, but shouldn't be too bad for him. He'll still manage to exit pit lane ahead of everyone else who's pitted with him. And this is where the numbers will start to get confusing, Zippy. The amount of cars that we see in the pit lane making their way back here, this is where the opportunity sort of brings itself to the fore to start yourself on that strategy to the end. You want to try and get to that critical lap of about lap 95 to lap 100. That's around about the point where you should be taking the final pit stop if you want a full tank of fuel to the end. That's going to cost you the least time in the closing stages here. And part of that is just brimming up the tank whenever you can if you're further back.
Yeah, definitely. You want to be able to try and make that last stint all in one hit. I'm having a quick look here at the just see what's happening in the session chat, and definitely a little bit of frustration. And basically, if it's yellow, it means slow down from the league admin Mike Broomhead. And I got to say, I do agree with him there, as the cautions are indeed triggering single file restarts for understandably good measure. But definitely looking pretty clean so far.
Well, aside from the incidents that we've seen, I think, drivers just need to be a bit more aware of what's going on around them. Particularly the incident that brought out this most recent caution. You just got to be aware of what the cars in front of you are doing. Don't fall back too far. Don't get on the power too early, because otherwise the checkup will happen, and we'll see that incredible carnage that we saw on the start-finish straight. Well, for now, we only have 5 cars that have not visited pit lane yet. Fenson in the lead, Marco Mini, Girard, and Swindells. We also have James Carter, who did not come into pit lane thus far. So Tyler Scarali has managed to move himself up to P5 in the midst of all of this. 21 laps so far on this stint for the number 15, who is up 15 positions.
Yeah, that's definitely a good thing. But actually, oh my gosh, a few people. I see 2 drivers up 18 positions. Tyler Scarali and Kostek Solowedge. Christian Grisco up 16. And actually, Richard Swindell, as you were mentioning him just a moment ago, he's currently, wow, he's going to be very happy. P4 up 11. Now, he is, without a doubt, he never prides himself on having the best pace. And don't get me wrong, I agree with him. I'm very much the same. But he is one for consistency, and I gotta say, I'm proud to have him as part of the Pit Roads production team. Currently, P4 in the Indy 500. That's a good place to be in, but can he manage that for another 103 laps?
they're going to have to come into the pits in about 10 laps time, everyone who hasn't pitted yet. So potential green flag pit stops on the cards here as Fenson will lead us away for the restart. Now, how clean is it going to be behind? We already see drivers fanning out for the minor positions behind. Looks like that'll for like P10 and all of that. But Markamini keeping Fenson in very close company as it's an absolute mess of cars finding their way through turns 1 and 2 at the moment. Colander versus Broomhead at the front of the pack further back there, and down to the inside, I think that's Kostek Soloviev who's going for that. Christian Gritsko in the slipstream as well. They are really struggling to sort themselves in line here.
You got to weigh up, like, how hard do you want to fight? Like, don't get me wrong, I have got absolutely zero talent in one of these Indy cars, especially going around at an oval at 220 miles an hour. But these guys are indeed fighting, and I think I've just seen Shane Larson looking to try and make a way back up through the field as well. He's currently resting in P16, down 11 from where he started. You see him there doing everything he can to try and move up through the grid. But battles happening throughout the field, incredibly close. I can see they are incredibly close, actually, all the way down from P1 all the way down to P22, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, brilliant stuff. Well, oh, that's a big dart to the inside from, I think that's Parada there, as Larson in the blue machine leads the way. Side by side between the Lima and Fury green cars as we get back onto a full lap at racing speed. Good to see. Shane Larson catching up to Caden Goodridge and Daniel Blanco up ahead. As ahead of them, it looked like Britsko was very close to making contact with Caden Middleton. They just avoided Middleton getting a better run off the corner there, but they're still running side by side, and they're 3 wide just about behind Goodridge and Larson to the inside here, and Larson can't do anything. He's boxed in at the moment.
Yeah, definitely, it does get very, very challenging. You can have as much speed as you want, but you need a place to let them ponies go, and certainly they was indeed stabled in that scenario. As you can see there, he's trying to make his way up back through the field. That's a bit of a late turn. That was contact. The front wind potentially getting a little bit of a clip there on that orange and black car. Not sure who it is. They're alongside it, what I believe is Caden Goodridge. It could indeed be Cade Middleton. As I see another puff of smoke. Blanco there getting involved.
Yeah, Daniel Blanco, steered from turn 1. He actually caught the wall on the exit, and so he's fallen down to 18th now behind these guys. Good that he's managed to hold on to some pace, though. It looks like potentially some minor damage to the car affecting the machine through the corners. Well, looks like a bit of a cleaner run here that we've got going now. I don't want to curse it, but...
oh, you just did.
We do see that the drivers up the front are giving each other a reasonable amount of space. Fenson is still leading the way. Matthias Markamini and Clovis Girard in hot pursuit, with Scarali, of course, the leading car that has come into the pits so far this race, but we're expecting a pit stop from him very, very soon. He's on the 26th lap of this stint. Granted, a lot of that has been under caution, so he's been able to save more fuel there. I would expect that Scarali will expect a pit maybe around the lap 36 mark, potentially. We'll have to wait and see on that, but he's caught up to them. He has a slightly heavier car, but he's certainly got the pace to stick with these guys at the front of the field.
I'm glad to see he's making such a good recovery. And then not only that, that pack has started to separate themselves from Richard Swindells, who's leading the second pack. So, you know what? If Scarali, Gerard, Markamini, actually, I've got to say, Markamini in the 777 car, what a debut here at BiS, currently resting in P2, up 12 spots and in that lead pack. If he can keep that up, I've got to say, he's going to be a very potent contender, albeit this is a little bit of an outlier here for BiS. We've seen he's got talent on an oval, but can he deliver on a road course as well?
That is the question. Racing further back here, as it looks like the top 4 are going to fly in formation for now. Battling for 9th on back, effectively. Caution back out. There's been a crash. Oh, a big crash, and Mitch Green's been involved. Oh, and it looks like Larson as well.
Oh.
Caden Goodridge and Shane Larson coming together in turn 1. Larson here, the understeer for Shane Larson. This is a little bit further back so we can get the full context of the incident. Larson seeing Gritsko and Goodridge battling ahead of him, and he thinks, okay, I'm going to be a part of this now. Pick up the slipstream off Gritsko, then swap to the inside for the run into turn 1. Oh, was very close to contact there, but you see into turn 1 as he tries to defend the position. He's a little bit tight on the way in, understeers up into Caden Goodridge, and then Mitch Green just arrives on the scene and gets absolutely splattered.
Yeah, definitely fair play to a good couple of the drivers there for being able to get around that. But I can tell you that both Shane Larson and Caden Goodridge now serving a meatball flag. It looks like Mitch Green, he may have used his crash repair. He's currently now resting in P20, was able to potentially lip that back to the pits. Harlan Goldburn still serving a meatball flag as well. He's about 10 laps down, I believe, at this point, as is Rishab Jain currently serving a black flag, so he may indeed have a meatball as well. Doesn't look like he's been anyway for a little while there. Interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff indeed. Now, is this going to be the opportunity that we see some of our front runners? Eric Benson, Mark Abini, my apologies, Gerard, Scarali, Swindells. Are we going to see these guys come into the pits? Because if you go down to Kostek Solowedge, he's there in P6. 13 laps on this stint, so certainly if you go above, as it looks like Swindells may have indeed, oh my, a whole storm of people bringing it into the pits.
Yes, absolutely. We have a ridiculous amount coming in, mostly drivers that pitted under the previous caution and want to bring their tanks up here, shorter pit stop, maybe gain some track position. Well, the likes of Eric Fenson and co, they're going to be putting a full tank back into the car here, and that is a solid stop there from Fenson. 8 seconds. He'll stay ahead of Markamini on the way out of the pit lane. Girard and Swindells will form the running order behind, and the lead will fall to the cars that pitted under the previous caution. Hardman, Milwain, Pagadala, Benvalid, and Colley are your new top 5. John Benvalid has played this one really well. He's only pitted once, and he's worked his way past a lot of the drama there. He's been able to join Pagadala and Hardman in their rise up through the field. Benvalid now up 21 positions. However, on the other side of the coin, we have lost Mitch Green from the server. He's decided to call it a day. And I don't blame him, honestly. If you start on pole for an event like this, you expect a bit less drama than what we've seen. And Mitch Green being involved in a couple of big crashes that he really didn't have much part in. It's a real shame to see. Larson and Goodridge also in the pits, getting tows and potentially getting the fast repair done as well, but we'll have to wait and see if they come back out.
Actually, speaking of drivers we've lost, I can confirm Nelson Mason did indeed leave. Rishab Jain, he has indeed left. Marshall Crocker Jr. has left. James Carter, he hasn't. He actually dropped due to upload packet loss, but is just rejoining the session now. Fair play to him. He is not a quitter by anyone's means. Actually, a wonderful individual. Does a lot of fundraising for the, if I remember rightly, the American Heart Foundation. Please. Oh, sorry, my apologies. The American Red Cross, I do remember now. He does a lot of fundraising for them, so a huge thank you to James Carter for doing those fundraising efforts indeed. I know he's definitely supported one of my fundraisers before, actually, as well, so a slight memory lapse there, but a huge thank you to him. But Shane Larson, I can see he's currently still serving that meatball flag. But on the other hand, you know, all he has to do is be able to get that car back out. We still have just short of 100 laps left to go, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, just over. No, just short of 100 laps left to go. Zippy Mac, obviously, at its finest there. As we see James Carter with his Shut Up and Drive t-shirt. I definitely approve of that. And there you go. There's the American Red Cross logo on his fan. So definitely, I did indeed get that charity right. But if I was Shane Larson in that 31 car, this is a good opportunity to score some points. Don't get me wrong. He's at a disadvantage right now. He's 3 laps down. But a lot can happen, as we've seen in this 32 laps so far.
Well, the question is, will Larson be able to get out of the pits before the caution ends? I don't see that happening. We're coming up to the end of, we think, the 5th full course yellow of this race, and the pace car is now in the pit lane, which means Andrew Hardman will lead us away for the restart here. Now, they do have to be careful not to cause any checkups here on this restart. Andrew Hardman will lead us away here across the yard of bricks, followed by Milwain and Pagadala. Phil Nellis pushing out of line and trying his best to get up on John Benbalid, but unsuccessful thus far. Phil is one of the drivers who's many laps here, so he's going to have Ben Colley right on the back of him here and making the move. Mauricio Parada in the green and yellow machine down there, and gets the position done on Ben Colley. Looks like trying to fight his way back onto the lead lap as well. Parada coming into the pits, actually, so we're going to lose him for now. But Hardman, Milwain and Pagadala up the front, and Pagadala just going for second place on Aussie Milwain, as up the inside of Eric Fenson goes Kostek Solovye. This is the battle for the lead then, Zippy. Things are getting quite close.
Yeah, Kostek Solovej currently up 20 positions, and I can tell you that my timing screen is lit up like a checkerboard right now. Daniel Blanco with black flag, Mauricio Parada, black flag, James Carter having an incident at the start. He's got a meatball. Shane Larson still showing a meatball. Phil Nels, black flag. Richard Jane, black flag, but don't get me wrong, he's disconnected from the session apparently as well. But incredible, it is lit up like a Christmas tree as the battle does indeed continue. Milwain currently out in front.
Go then into turn one once more for the 35th time here today. Obviously not the 35th time at full racing speed. Out of the pits ahead of them is coming Cade Middleton. It looks like Middleton is...
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and indeed, welcome back. We do apologise for that short little outage. Bless our producer, he had a power outage, which obviously, as anybody with a computer knows, that generally does not end very well. And as you can see here, it's just in time for the race to continue under green flag conditions. It was Ian Pagadala in the lead, John Benbalid in second. I say that as Aussie Milwain takes away that second spot.
Indeed, looks like James Carter has suffered a bit of an issue with the rear end there. You see him falling back. He's one of the cars that has fallen laps down. Pagadala now trying his best to contend here with Mauricio Parada, who is a lap car himself. There's been plenty of issues over the course of when we were off the air there. We had quite the green flag run going, but then a massive caution where pretty much everyone came into the pits. And the running order thus far, Pagadala, Benbalid and Milwain, as Aussie Milwain is actually side by side with John Benbalid a bit further back here. Pagadala is in a good position right now. He's got a couple of lap cars between himself and the rest of the podium here, and he's got cars ahead of him, just about. I mean, he's trying his best to get past Parada, but if I was in Pagadala's position here, I'd stick behind and save fuel.
Yeah, this could be a good opportunity for him as long as Parada is not really holding him up. And certainly on an oval track like this, I think it'd be hard to be massively off-paced. Caden Goodridge currently serving a black flag. I can see he's in the pit box right now, but the race does indeed continue. There has been a few casualties indeed. We lost Phil Nels in that break as well. Not quite sure what happened. It looks like he just steered right into the wall. I'm very curious to know what happened there, but he's out of it. Nicholas Kalander, he's dropped off the face of the earth as well. Well, maybe not that far, but off this race session as well. But currently, the standings right now very close, all the way from P1 down to about P15 before a massive gap to Cedric O'Hyan and between him himself and Clay Morris, but he is still on the lead lap.
Very crucial indeed. Staying on the lead lap, super important at an Indy 500, whether it's in much continues. I'm not seeing much of a trace of drivers going for those big, massive moves like we saw in the stages. Now they're trying to get into that rhythm for the next run of laps. So everyone from Milwain down to Morris pitted 5 laps ago under the caution. Pagadala came in right away. He's been out there for 8 laps, so he might have a slightly lighter car than those ahead of him. Let's see then if he can hold them off. He's holding on very nicely to the lead here. He's, he's obviously looking a bit quicker through the turns than Mauricio Parada is there, but the benefit is that he's still got a good amount of cars in between himself and Milwain, but Aussie is starting to gain there. You see him pulling out in the background there and getting past Broomhead, potentially coming into turn 3. No, he's electing to take a little bit of an extra corner or two. So I guess now we just wait for the next big moves to be made.
Oof, and it looks like we're about to get one there. As you can see, a good portion of pressure being applied. It is John Bemberlid versus Andrew Hartman, I believe. Have we got the right paints on right now?
Now that is definitely Mauricio Parada, who's there with Ariane Pagadala. And that is the paint that Parada's been using for a while. Or at least this round of the championship. Trading spots again with our race leader. I think this is actually working out pretty well with Pagadala. Because, I mean, he's not really losing all that much time here, is he?
The interesting thing is going to be is if these two come to contact. Certainly, it's very interesting when you get blue flag rules. Certainly, some people you want them out the way. Others, you kind of want them to stick around and give you a little bit of help. As the yellow flag has gone out, and I can tell you that Eric Fenson, the number 76 car, currently carrying a meatball flag.
Yeah, Fenson got a bit too low in turn 4. He was trying to get past Christian Gritzko, and he ended up actually catching the concrete down low. You don't want that. You go too low in the corners, that will induce oversteer. It'll make the car snap. You see him right there. He was too low, and he tried to recover it. He almost did, but he got into the wall there on pit entry. He was he was trying to get it turned around here. He had to go onto the racetrack to get it turned around, and that's what caused the caution.
On the upside, at least he did not have to tow to the pits, able to get in there under his own steam. But some very interesting shakes up here at the Doppler BiS Indycar Championship. And definitely some interesting mix-up in the results as well. John Bemberlid, currently the hard charger, up 19 spots, resting in P3. Damn proud of that guy, and wishing him the best of luck for his FEL Motorsports Radical Cup Canada season as well, making his debut in the real racing world in one of those cars. And I gotta say, we are looking forward to seeing some really good pictures of it actually as well. I know Cedric O'Hine has sent me a little bit of a teaser pic there, but definitely looking forward to much more. Without a doubt, the most beautiful Radical I've ever seen.
Yes, of course, British Racing Green is very close to your heart.
Oh yes.
So we're back under caution once again, and this is going to cause a bit of a pause in the action. I would expect there to be very little in the way of pit stops on this caution period, because we only got that green flag run going for about 5 or 6 laps potentially. We'll see then if it looks like what's happened here. Pagadala is still classed as being in the lead, but the rest of the field is behind the pace car. It's picked up Aussie Milwain, who's in second. So what's going on here?
That could be interesting. Certainly the pace car can indeed have its moments. We see it more in the dirt side, but Pagadala, as far as I know, would indeed be in P1.
Yeah, this could be a timing error. I'm not sure what's going on here. Pagadala has effectively been given a whole lap over the rest of the field thanks to this.
I'll take a quick look in the iRacing session there, really see if we can see what's going on.
Yeah, he's obviously being instructed to move past all of these cars and come back up here to the front of the queue and past the safety car again. No, pulling behind the safety car. So now technically in terms of track position, he's where he should be, but he is classed a lap ahead of the rest of the field at the moment. This is a really curious problem. I don't think I've seen this happen before.
Yeah, I'm going to send the league admin a message and let him know something is indeed going on. Give him a heads up as well.
Right, so Pagadala's slowed down now, and it looks like the automated system might be telling him to just let everyone back by again. Very curious.
Yeah, definitely. I've let them know. I'll keep an eye on the iRacing session for the moment rather than the production feed, see if these guys can indeed get it sorted out. Definitely timing and scoring. You need it, but it can indeed have its, without a doubt, have some challenges as well.
Yeah, well, remember, just before the caution came out, Pagadala was slipstreaming behind Parada. Maybe the proximity to the lapped car there for Pagadala got things a little messed up on the timing side. Regardless, Pagadala is coming into the pit lane, and he will take his stop here. I think with all of that, he should be able to fall back into the lead where he is supposed to be.
Oh, hang on a second, Reese. If he gets a pit and then he still gets the lead, I would have said that would be an unfair advantage, would it not?
Well, I mean, I don't. Yeah, I mean, it's just a confusing issue that we're seeing at the moment. I genuinely don't know what's going on here.
I wouldn't even be sure how to handle that. I'm trying to think
Yeah.
of, from an admin side of view, but because he's now just pit and took tyres, if he's then given back the lead of the race, I would have said that would be an unfair advantage.
Yeah, I mean, they'll only be going by what they're told by the sim. Like the in-sim spotter would have been telling Pagadala what to do. He has come out in the lead with the pace car now coming into the pits to restart the race. Green flag is out, and Aussie Milwane will lead the pack, but he is classified in second. So, yeah, like...
Something's not right here, Reese.
Yeah,
on the timing side, that's definitely not right.
I'm trying to think about what's actually happened here, and I'm just not coming up with an answer. Well, for now, we'll show you what is the battle for the effective lead of the race, I guess, between Aussie Milwane and John Benvalid. Andrew Hardman right behind them.
I mean, the only thing I can think of is sort of throwing another full course yellow and then having Pagadala. I almost feel, because he's took that pit, he's now going in the pits again. So this may indeed level the playing field. Don't get me wrong, I don't have the audio chat on for the sim. Maybe there's something being said, but he is now coming back into the pits, which I think is actually going to equalise it. We'll have to see how he re-emerges, but definitely some interesting things going on at timing and scoring today.
Yeah, well, John Benvalid now up the inside of Milwane, but Aussie round the outside. Going to be using those tyres a little bit less and not heating them up as much through the turns, so he's able to maintain that momentum. The slipstream, though, for Benvalid, he's going to go for it here, and they will move through into the lead as Pagadala is in the pit lane. Actually, I'm seeing a black flag for Ariane Pagadala. That's the reason why he's pitted. It looks like the system actually put a black flag. Maybe he didn't follow the spotter instructions.
Yeah, maybe. I'm piecing out the iRacing chat for now. It definitely seemed very, very weird indeed. Certainly, timing and scoring can indeed be both a brilliant thing and indeed a bit of a cluster, as he's now indeed got that black flag. And we continue the race, ladies and gentlemen, with Aussie Milwane up at the front of the pack.
Yeah, they are starting to trade spots here at the very front of the field, and behind them a big charge from Tyler Scaralli and Matthias Marcamini, who have become big factors in this race. Scaralli was the first driver to pit in the course of the whole race, and he's been able to translate that into working his strategy such that he can stay in that top 5 here under green flag conditions. So see what he can do here. He's going to have to keep an eye out for Cade Middleton, who's right behind him at the moment, just past Marcamini there. I would have thought that Middleton would be a bit further down than this, but he's managed to work his way back forward. And now they just have to wait for the next slipstreaming opportunity. That's understeer for Skirali, and dipping underneath those Cade Middleton back up with the P4.
Yeah, Cade Middleton, I'm sure we've definitely seen him here at BIS before, and is actually the stand-in for Joey Haynes. Got to say, I'm missing my buddy. Joey Haynes, really, really good guy. Does some real-life karting as well, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very potent behind the wheel of a go-kart by any means. Actually, I can think of a couple of people here and on Pit Road Productions who have some karting success. Sadly, Cardiff actually being one of them, who is also not able to make it here today. I believe he's somewhere in Ohio right now. Don't get me wrong, the young lad obviously getting to travel a little bit more than I do, and you can take that with a pinch of salt. Obviously, I do not get out much, or indeed very far, ladies and gentlemen. But right now, John Beverly, the Lima racing car, up in P1, up an incredible 21 positions from where he started. Fantastic attrition there from the number 8 car.
Yeah, brilliant stuff for Ben Malid. He's, on strategy alone, worked his way up there. And that's the smart way to negotiate an Indy 500. Really enjoying seeing that. Also on a bit of a recovery is Clay Morris in the number 48. He started on the front row, remember, and he's been involved in a couple of those big incidents that cause cautions. He's still on the lead lap. We have 13 cars on the lead lap at the moment. And Morris is looking good to try and find his way back up through the top 10. Christian Gritsko, next car on his target. Now looking at here, actually pitted 10 laps later than everyone ahead of him. Same for Daniel Blanco and Kostek Soloviev behind. So those three are worth watching. They're going to be able to go a bit longer on this tank by a significant margin.
Yeah, definitely could indeed shake it up a little bit there. Actually, Clay Morris in that 48 car, the highest I-rating driver we have in the session today. 4,278 I rating, definitely not a slouch by any means.
For sure. The lead fight is continuing. It looks like Hardman and Middleton and company have caught right up to Ben Valid and Milwain. And Middleton's trying to go for it here now. He's up into third. Hardman just lifting off. Middleton is looking looking aggressive here in these mid stages of the race. We are past the halfway point, and so now he's trying to set up to the end.
Yeah, definitely strategy is indeed going to be a key part of this. Tyler Scrally up 17 spots. He's having a really good race so far. Hopefully I haven't just cursed him. Applying a good amount of pressure there to newcomer to BIS. The Mateus Marcamini is there up in 5th, up 9 positions overall. Actually, the only driver needs higher grid who's remained where they started. The number 3 car of Andrew Hardman for MTC Motorsports. His teammate, actually Ben Colley, back there in 8th. Had a couple of incidents earlier on. And some fun facts as well. Ladies and gentlemen, so Ozzy Milwain has indeed used his fast repair, the highest ranked driver who has done that. He's currently up in P2, but John Bemberlid currently rocking the P1 spot. The highest placed driver who has not used their fast repair, the lowest placed driver who has not used their fast repair, Ian Pagadalo. Definitely a little bit of controversy in that last yellow flag session.
So here's some strategies. This is going to be really important, Zippy. 21 laps completed for everyone in the top 8. Only 11 laps for Morris, Blanco Sauvier, and Cedric O'Hyan as well. 10 laps into the stint, but he's a lap down. Basically, what we need to remember is there's going to be 54 laps to go when they cross the line next. Well, you subtract the amount of time these drivers have been driving from those laps remaining, and it looks like Clay Morris, Daniel Blanco, and Kostek Sovier, if they follow this same strategy, their last pit stop will come on lap 35 or so. That's going to allow them to potentially jump these guys, but they're going to have to fuel save massively to the end. Everyone in the top 8 is, with 35 laps to go. My apologies. Yeah, look, there's been a lot of confusion in this race. My brain is not working. So yeah, they'll pit with 35 laps to go. They will have to fuel save, but I think if you manage, and if there's a caution, you might be able to make it to the end from there. The problem is for our leaders, for everyone who pitted now 23 laps ago, they're going to come into the pits with about 45-ish laps to go. They're going to need an extra splash and dash for sure. So it's the splash and dash versus the potential fuel save strategy that we're looking at here.
Well, definitely a bit too technical for me there. As I can tell you, John Benberlid and Cade Middleton are fighting it out at the front of the pack. Ozzy Milwain very much in that battle as well. To see Cade Middleton did lead a lap very briefly, but Benberlid very quick to take it back. Generally, a lot of these drivers there in single file, I believe it may be a little bit of fuel saving, maybe a little bit of cooler heads prevailing, as we have indeed lost a lot of drivers out of this session. I can tell you, Rishabh Jain did rejoin the session. He's 17 laps down right now. He is still out on the track running, currently in 21st place.
Yeah, good to see that he's gotten back out there. Not an ideal run for him, same for many of the drivers in this race. Saw a potential move there from Mark Amini. He tried to pass Milwain, but looked like he just lost grip down low, and Milwain was able to power around the outside again. So he's staying in touch here with Benberlid and Middleton, and Broomhead here in 16th, the lap down. He's obviously got a bit of stress on his mind. Cade Middleton going for the lead of the race. Did he get it done, though, is the big question. John Benberlid managing to hold the high line very nicely. Broomhead's going to get right back up to them here. Caution's out.
I'm not sure
Looks
why.
like that's
weird. Blanco.
Daniel Blanco. So we see Rishabh Jain coming into the pit lane. He wasn't the cause of the caution, but yeah, there you go. I suppose that tells the story.
Yeah, that's definitely fair to say. That car is a little bit cosmetically and mechanically challenged. You can see there the front wheel tucked right up underneath. Here's a quick replay, see what happened. Looks like everything's going well. Continuing, obviously going at a high rate of speed. Goes into the left-hander, and a little bit of understeer. Has a bit of a ding against the wall, and it's fair to say they then rebound off the inside wall. Thankfully, no other cars involved in that contact. Debris all over the track, and that left front very firmly becoming just merely tethered to the front of that car.
Yeah, everything was going well until it wasn't very quickly. Just looks to me like Blanco did get a bit of understeer on there coming out of turn 2. And it's pretty easy to do that. Just a big hit to the inside wall and bouncing back onto the track as he did. Something that I've seen happen many a time when I've been calling IndyCar races here in Indianapolis. So this is an opportunity for drivers to reset here. I think if you're Cade Middleton, if you're everyone down to, say, Clay Morris, Christian Gritzko, you're coming into the pit lane, and that's exactly what we're seeing here.
Well, I do spy one of the Lima racing cars that stayed out. I think that may be Cedric O'Hine. Broomhead looks like he stayed out as well. And it's going to be yeah, definitely, and I can't fault them for that. They've got to try and hope for another full course caution, but a very, very busy pit lane indeed. And certainly, don't get me wrong, you know, there is still a race going on in the pit lane. While there may be a pit speed limit, though, you see Daniel Blanco limping his car into the pits. So you still, how quickly can you get it stopped in the box? How quickly can you get out? And can you make sure you definitely do not exceed that pit speed limit? Certainly, Reese will take a little bit of satisfaction in saying that his co-host is particularly talented at getting pit speed in penalties.
Yes, indeed. Certainly know all about that. So it looks like
big shake-up. Middleton took the lead.
Yes, he has. All in the midst of that. Benberlid, 2 seconds slower than Middleton along pit road. So there was a problem getting into or out of the pit box there for Benberlid. That has lost him the battle for the lead. He's now classified 4th. It looks like O'Hine might have actually gotten the wave around there. And so he's taken the pit stop, and now that he's back on the lead lap, he'll be able to get back out there and still be on the lead lap. Broomhead staying out behind the pace car because, well, he would get some extra distance on everyone around him, and that would allow him to now come into the pits now if he so desires. But it looks like he's not going to. He's only 12 laps into this stint, so probably not worth pitting for the moment. He's going to run that tank out all the way to the end, and that will get him to about 24, 25 laps to go, which is right in the ballpark for a full stint, but he's getting wagged around the pace car right now, and I think once he's gotten around a pit lane again, he will come in and top the tank up. I mean, why wouldn't you at this stage?
Yeah, definitely. Maybe he just wanted to have the feeling of feeling like he's leading the BIS, Doppler BIS Indy 500. I mean, I could definitely understand that. As it looks like somebody's come with him as well. The 45 car of Caden Goodrich, I can see there, tucked behind. So definitely a few people making a bit of use of that wave around.
Indeed. A couple more drivers rejoining the lead lap as a result of this. So now it's a hard reset for everyone on the lead lap at the moment. They are all on the same strategy now. And with 47 laps to go when they take this restart, that will take them, I think the latest you're going to be seeing someone pit to get to the end is 17 laps to go, thereabouts. You're going to start seeing drivers come in from round about lap 95, lap 96, I think.
Yeah, definitely Reese Gardner very much more in tune with the pit strategy, but the lights indeed are out on that pace car. We're getting ready to go racing, and it's going to be the 5x5 of Cade Middleton who's going to take it away.
555 at the front. Green flag flies, and we are away once more across the yard of bricks. So, a nice controlled restart this time. We're not seeing much of the chaos of the initial start and restarts of this race. Let's count of how many cautions we've actually gone through here. But we'll get back to green flag thinking for the time being, won't we? Mark Amini, I'm very impressed with what he's been able to do so far. See how he's staying about a car width wide of the inside of the corner there? He is looking to get that extra bit of air over the front of the car. It's all well and good following close behind someone, but dirty air does exist in IndyCar racing, and staying a little bit high in the turns can sometimes be a good strategy to preserve the tyres and make sure that you don't get that dreaded understeer here, especially when the tyres are fresh.
Yeah, we've definitely seen a couple of drivers come off a little bit worse. There's a little bit of weaving there from Middleton just trying to break that draft, but honestly, I don't think Mark Amini is actually that bothered by it. He's not really that really interested in that draft. He's kind of just doing his own thing. I'd say he's probably playing it a little bit safe. But another thing about the Indy 500 is these guys do indeed all have the same sets of tires available. There is no alternative tire to play with, or indeed a push to pass. So very much it's 100% skill based, and indeed some adjustments can be made in the car as well to try and find that extra little bit of pace.
Looks like the pace for Cade Middleton is as perfect as it can be at the moment. Not the fastest car on track this time by. That belonged to Tyler Scaralli, who is right at the back of this pack. And now it's a waiting game, I think. There's a good amount of space being given by our leaders here. I think now we're well and truly in the stage of the race where, okay, it's survival mode. We have to get to the end. Let's not get too aggressive, too silly, and cause more collisions.
Well, that is indeed a huge part of it. I can tell you we started with 28 cars and we've lost 8 of them. It is now just a battle of the top 20. And indeed on the lead lap, if I just have a quick look, I would say that it's the top 15 currently on the lead lap, albeit 15th place only just, assuming I'm reading that right. I don't think I'm quite reading that right. I think it may be the top 14 on the lead lap. But incredibly close battling happening throughout, especially for the top 6, ending in Tyler Scaralli, the number 15 for Doppler Britannia iSports.
Marcamini has still been running that high line here, and he's getting a little bit of extra pace now. He was under attack from Mill Lane. I think might have been given a little bit of a hurry up there. Like I said, Marcomini was focusing on maintaining the grip on the fronts there, but now he's you can see, though, that Middleton, with the luxury of there being a clear track ahead of him, he's got all of that undisturbed air flowing over his car, and so he's able to go right to the inside every single opportunity. It looks like Marcomini and Mil Wayne can't quite do that.
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely some different strategy available, and I think Middleton's just kind of running his own line at this point. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure he's got an eye on his mirror as well, as Marcomini looking to make that run up the inside, as we do indeed have a change of position, and looks like Mil Wayne's going to buy one, get one free. At least that's the opposite of what just happened to Middleton, as he's relegated back to P3.
Not the end of the world, still a fair way to go in this race, and Middleton now has the opportunity to fuel save a little bit himself, but Matthias Marcomini, on debut in BiS Sim Leagues, will lead the Doppler Indy 500K. This is a fantastic debut for a driver. On the weave down the start-finish straight. He's obviously not going to give up this lead very easily, and I don't think anyone would really want to go for the lead here because, you know, it's all about maintaining that lower fuel usage here. Just dial back. Make sure that you can make it as long as you can, and try and get yourself set up for the end. But here comes Mil Wayne.
Yeah, definitely. Mil Wayne is a very competitive character indeed, and indeed a BiS regular, the winner of the Pro Class for the BiS Radical Canada Cup 2024-2025 season. As you see there, this is on the back from Marcomini. As you see, Cade Middleton right behind as we go on the back with Mil Wayne now, the AB Esports driver, who's currently resting in P2. You can see Middleton applying a little bit of pressure, but certainly not up on the rear wing. Definitely a different discipline here than we're used to seeing on BiS. It looks like we've got a battle happening back in P13 as well. Parada and Cedric O'Hyan going toe-to-toe as well.
Yeah, battling between the 81 and the 36. And it looks like Parada catching up to Gritzko now. Remember, Parada was in danger of falling a lap down before the caution came out, but he's managed to find his way back onto the lead lap. He's still 5 spots down from where he started. Actually 7, sorry. I think my timing is way off versus what's actually in the sim. But resurrecting something from this race, he is the outlier in the top 14. He has put 14 laps on those tyres and on that fuel tank. Everyone else only 10 laps into their stint. And of course, that is including the caution. Parada pitted very early on in the caution period, so he will have a chance of maybe gaining some more spots, but he will have to pit a couple of laps earlier than everybody else here.
Yeah, definitely a few varieties of tactic there. As you see, Michael Broomhead, he's currently got the highest stint on his tyres right now, 24 laps completed, and we do know why he was trying to unlap himself in that 0-0 car. Definitely not the race he was looking for, but I can tell you actually that there is a couple of drivers who have not yet used our pacifier, as I swear I just saw some smoke.
Yeah, it looks like Andrew Hardman with a problem. He ended up catching the wall out of turn 2 and had big oversteer down low. We stayed green. It was well recovered from Hardman, but yeah, it looks like that car is not looking too good at the moment.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of a pace compromise there, as I believe that may be Ian Pagadala trying to make a move there.
Yes.
Yeah, Ian Pagadala trying to make a move. Richard Swindell's currently hanging in the woodwork as well.
Drivers battling around the top 10 between Pagadala and 16th, Broomhead and 17th in the running order. We are about to hit that critical lap here. Matthias Marcomini will be classed as having 36 laps to go here. So this is where things start to get interesting. There goes Pagadala into the pit lane, and it looks like he and Broomhead, they are going to try and go all the way to the end from here. They will need to save fuel massively to do it. but it is possible with 35 laps to go.
It's certainly doing a 25-26 lap stint and then coming in adding an extra 10 laps on top of that. I would say they are hoping for a caution at this point, and they're going to definitely need one, certainly to pull that off. But right now, I can tell you, newcomer to BiS, Mateus Marcamini, he's currently out there in front. Ozzy Milwain 2 tenths behind, with Cade Middleton applying pressure there in third. John Bemberlin still in that pack. We've got a little bit of a gap there between the 15 car of Tyler Scarelli.
Middleton still staying in touch with these guys as Broomhead and Pagadala come out. They will last a lap down. But remember, we're still going to be owed a pit stop, a pretty significant one, from everyone who's just gotten around them there in the top 4. So, yeah, now, I reckon if you're in that lead group, you're going to want to pit maybe around the lap 100 mark to like really make sure that you're going to get to the end and be able to go hell for leather on the power, on the fuel map, etc., running full rich. If you want to pit around now, oh dear, yeah, for Hardman, was it?
No, I've got a meatball flag shown to the 91 car of Christian Gritzko and indeed the 35 of Richard James. Both of these drivers receiving a meatball pretty much identical to each other. I believe they may have an incident together, as I see Tyler Scarelli's just picked up a 2X as well. I wonder if his car is okay, currently resting in P5 and indeed carrying the fastest lap.
I can tell you what happened to Gritzko. Came into turn 3 and ran too low. Car slid and then steered up into the wall. That's what happened to Christian Gritzko here. And, well, he'll have to get back in and get that thing repaired. I don't know if I think he's already used his fast repair as well. So he's going to be in here a while.
Yeah, I can confirm that fast repair has indeed been used already. But I do see Richard Jane, I know he used his earlier. He's going to be stuck in the pit box for quite some time. As you can see, Caden Goodrich, actually, his last pit stop was 1 minute and 1.6 seconds. So definitely he had a longer stop. He's currently resting back in P18. But right now, Ian Pagadala and Mike Broomhead close together. Potentially could be working together to try and pull themselves up through the field.
Yeah, don't forget, they pitted at a point where they were just on the cusp of making it home if they saved fuel. The problem is they need to be within the slipstream of the top 4 there to really save the amount of fuel they need to get to the end. They are catching up to them just a little bit, but they're just outside that optimum draft range. They're going to have to push a little harder, and that might be the point that this potential strategy falls apart.
Yeah, definitely the fuel game can be a risky one. Actually, I remember, we're not on a race scenario, but in terms of just commuting to mechanic school scenario, I used to like playing a game called Fuel Light Bingo, to which my passenger was not a big fan. He would get very anxious doing it, but I can confirm at the time I could get 600 kilometers in the fuel tank of a Mazda 2, which is just a little tiny hatchback that weighs about as much as a frozen chicken, ladies and gentlemen. But that is incredible considering the size of the thing. Used to get me to Ottawa to Cornwall and back twice, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, nice. My family's car was a Mazda 2 for a while. And then, unfortunately, it was involved in a little bit of a prang and we had to get rid of it. My mum then moved to a Toyota Kluger. I moved from a Ford Focus and then to a Mazda MX-5 as Broomhead and Pagadala. Oh, God. That was close there. Broomhead trying his best to, I think, make it feel like he was getting held up behind Pagadala there. Well, we'll see what they can do to catch up. Once again, we're just waiting for that final call to the pits from everyone in the top 11. Mauricio Parada, an outlier here. O'Brien and Blanco on the same strategy as the lead pack. One more caution though, and that will throw everything into disarray. The leaders just playing their waiting game here. The top 4 are far from being aggressive at this stage. They've been swapping and chopping and changing for a few laps. Here comes Benvalid. Oh, okay. Looks like he was just taking advantage of that extra speed in a straight line to stay in touch. But he is not looking to make the big move just yet. "28 laps to go now in the BiS Indy 500K. And I think this is the point where you'd want to go into the pits now, but you don't want to pit under green flag is the big thing. You'd rather pit under caution because then you'll lose less track position. You pit now, then it's not going to be ideal.
Yeah, definitely strategy is indeed a huge part of it. As I see something's happened to the Richard Jane there. Something happened on his lap 74. He's currently out on track though, so everything appears to be okay. Apologies if I missed that, but definitely some battles happening throughout the field. Indeed, for the lead as well. Matthias Marcamini currently managing to hold on to that in the 777 machine. Tyler Scarelli still holding on to that fastest lap as well. A good effort by him. Currently up 18 spots, but the hard charger in the field right now, Kostek Solowedge in the 64 machine, 21 positions gained.
That's very good there from Kostek. The Fury cars have had a rough go of it here with Mitch Green, the pole sitter, unfortunately crashing out of the race and retiring. So Kostek now flying the flag for Fury Simsport Black. Clovis Girard is our first call at a pit lane, and he is joined by Parada. This is going to be the first of our raft of final pit stops here, the 827 and the 81 in the lane, and they are joined by Daniel Blanco as well, who is on the same strategy as our leaders. So here it comes then. You know, I think the top four are waiting for a caution.
Yeah, I definitely would be, and certainly, you know, it is a little bit higher risk almost taking to the pits while it is a green flag, but not only that, you want to try and pit and make sure you've got some company. If you come out without the draft, that can be absolutely catastrophic on your race pace.
Well, there you go. Girard and Parada. Scarelli is going to be the next call at a pit lane. Significant stuff there from Tyler. And this is going to be a full rich stint from all of these guys now. They are going to be using as much fuel as they can. They won't have to worry about conserving fuel anymore because we are within the window to make it home on a single stint.
Absolutely. You see Cedric O'Hine coming to the pits right behind him, that Lima Racing machine of number 36 currently resting in P11 as indeed Marcamini comes in. It has indeed triggered a whole wave of pit stops, ladies and gentlemen. Can they keep it green? Certainly if the yellow comes out, it would be absolutely catastrophic for those who have already come around pit road.
Well, potentially. I mean, the drivers who haven't come in will need to come in anyway under that caution. And because of the safety car and all that, you know, depending on where the pace car comes out, you might be able to leapfrog them. But the issue is...
Oh, dear.
Oh, dear?
Tyler Scarelli, number 15, has just been given a black flag. I do wonder if he had an unsafe pit exit. This could be catastrophic. Maybe we can see a replay. He's already coming back in there to serve that black flag. It could be for pit lane speeding. We'll have to keep an eye. But Aussie Mill Wayne's been black flagged as well.
I know what... okay, so Aussie Mill Wayne, it looks like he sped into the pits there. That might be the reason why. I can tell you that Scarelli got the black flag because he went over the white lines in the pit exit lane. You're not allowed to go beyond the white lines as you re-enter the racetrack, and Scarelli did that. So he's unfortunately back in pit lane to serve that. And Aussie Mill Wayne, man, this is really tough for the both of them. They were fighting so well up the front of the field, and this has completely destroyed their race. Now our leaders are in. Middleton, Sauvier, Colley, Hardman, and Swindells all in the lane, and no black flags for any of them from what I can see.
Yeah, I have a feeling that Scarelli is going to be stuck with that black flag because he's come into the box. I have a feeling for a black flag like that. I would have thought it would be a drive-through penalty. Certainly will have to keep an eye on it. Milwain has cleared his black flag. Scarelli still with that black flag. I don't see him yet to leave the pit box. He's still currently in there. So I do wonder, maybe he got speeding as well. I'm not too sure, but definitely not what he was looking for. Absolutely detrimental to his race. As right now, Caustic Solo Edge, he's still currently the hard charger up in 6th place. Mark Amini, he's managed to regain back out into 3rd place right now. And I say he's probably leading that second pack of cars. Clay Morris and Cade Middleton out very much on their own right now.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, so Mark Amini, the first of this pack to pit, and he's just resumed the lead of it versus Cade Middleton. So, oh man. Okay, this will be interesting here as Morris comes into the lane. They're already out of the final corner. They will retake the lead. So this is now the battle for the lead, full stop. There's nothing ambiguous about this between Cade Middleton and Matthias Marcamini. They both come in for their final pit stop. They're both fighting for the win now, and it's going to be that way the last 21 laps of this race. Benvalid, Colley, and Hardman, they are on the same strategy as well. Marcamini, the first to pit out of all of these guys, he will have tyres that may potentially go off a little bit earlier. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, definitely still a lot to play for with 20 laps to go. It is indeed the final countdown with drivers from all across the globe, not just from Europe, ladies and gentlemen. My apologies if you did indeed get that musical reference.
I don't want to get DMCA'd. Anyway.
It's fun to stay at the...
Oh, dear. Well, we have a proper 6-car battle for the win now. And from what I'm seeing from Marcamini, he's doing the same thing he was doing before the pit cycle. He is staying a little bit higher. So he's able to look after the front tyres. Now, if he does that for long enough, he will be able to use those fresher front tyres to go for the lead and potentially have to stick to the inside. The problem for him is, every time he does that, it opens the door for all the drivers behind him. And John Benvalid is certainly comfortable down low. They're actually costing each other lots of time to Cade Middleton at the moment. They can't let him get away too much. Benvalid going for it properly here in turn 3. Marcamini goes, all right, mate, you can have this one. But Benvalid on the extreme tight line there is burning through those tyres and losing pace in the middle of the corner. It's turning out to be very hard to make the pass.
Yeah, I definitely think I would honestly at this point just fall in line, save it for the end, but don't get me wrong, it is incredibly hard to make a pass in these cars. They're all going at such high speed and you definitely need to get a good run. Sometimes you have to gear that back. Certainly, from my overall experience, on a super speedway kind of track, you have to plan that run 3, 4, if not 5 laps in advance. Don't get me wrong, the IndyCar side, I think you can do it a little bit more brisk, but you need to get that slipstream to be able to capitalize and get that overspeed and make your way past your opponent.
Well, that little rigmarole, that little back and forth between Marcamini and Benvalid is now over for the moment. And Marcamini is just within slipstream range of Cade Middleton. Half a second separating the two of them. So, oh no, the caution's out.
Oh, why?
Oh, it's Christian Gritsko.
Oh.
That is a big crash for Gritsko. And again, it's a car dipping below the white line through the corners and just losing the rear end. So you'll see Gritsko here coming through turns 1 and 2. He was all right through turn 1, as you'll see, but when he gets down to turn 2, keep an eye out at the low part of the racetrack here. He turns in just a bit too early. He actually caught the wall there. I think that's what induced the instability in the car. The slide happens, and then Gritsko gets into the wall, and this is slow motion, obviously. He went for a big old pirouette.
Yeah, definitely a artistic display of the lack of grip, and you see that bit of debris there hanging out on the track. Definitely, come to think of it, the real-life marshals, I do feel for them, because don't get me wrong, they do put it under yellow flag conditions, but not all drivers are as you could say obedient or as accommodating to yellow flags as you would hope. And certainly myself, I would not be in a hurry to step out onto a racetrack with cars doing in excess of 200 miles an hour.
Not ideal at all. Well, I don't expect anyone to come into the pit lane this time around, apart from maybe Broomhead and Pagadala. This is their opportunity to, maybe get a little bit more fuel in the car if they need it. But the thing is, Broomhead and Pagadala, they pitted when there was 35 laps to go. If you're saving the whole time, you might be able to stretch the tank out to 35 laps, plus if there's a caution, that makes it a lot easier. So there's potential for those two here on screen to stay out under this caution and still be able to make it to the end. Some fake outs into pit lane. Pagadala potentially looking for it. Nah, Broomhead and Pagadala are going to go in here. They obviously didn't think they could make it to the end on that. Big fake out there from Clay Morris.
He definitely playing some mind games there. Cheeky tactics, and I gotta say, I enjoyed it. It looks like Caden Goodrich coming down pit road as well. There's actually a few of them down there as well, but I gotta say, a huge shake-up in the order. Right now, the hardest charger is still Kostek Solowaj. He's there in 6th place. Richard Swindell, he's pretty high up as well, up 8 places, I say. But so we go high end, the next highest, actually, no, my apologies, Caden Middleton, the next hard charger with 18 positions gained. And I'll be honest, he can't really increase that number. He's sat on pole.
Certainly. Well, the pit stop's complete for those who decided to take it, and I think the only reason you'd want to pit at this point, if you'd already pitted with about 25-ish laps to go, the only reason you'd want to come back in again is for fresh tires. There's no limit on the amount of tires you can take from what I can see. So if you have freshies, then you'll be able to use them to their maximum here in the final, I'd say, 13 laps. I believe we'll have 13 laps to go when this caution period ends.
Well, I do believe that the tire limit was indeed 600,000 sets per driver, so certainly if they can go through those, I will be mightily impressed and mightily disgusted as well. Even I can't go through that much rubber, but definitely, you'd really have to be pushing the car. Have a few incidents there, but I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to basically be a last shootout here between these drivers with just 14 laps left to go.
I do love seeing a sprint to the end at Indy. Ended up seeing a fantastic one in the Majors Speedway 500. And there was plenty of drama at the end of that race. I'm expecting more of the same here. Matthias Marcamini, can he win on debut? Or can Cade Middleton hold him off for victory? Can John Benverlid, with his massive climb through the field, take a surprise victory here from someone who we didn't think was going to be a factor? Can Ben Colley and Andrew Hardman, the only 2 drivers here who were actually involved in that pole day a week ago, can they actually turn that into something? Every other driver who was here on pole day has unfortunately fallen by the wayside.
Yeah, definitely a few of them getting caught out. Clay Morris, he's back there in P9. Mill Wayne's back there in P12. And Pagadala, I don't think he made... Yeah, he made the pole day. He's back in P14. But what's interesting as well is, can the teammates of Andrew Hardman and Ben Colley, can they do something having this team, alliance between them to potentially try and slingshot themselves up onto the podium? Don't get me wrong. They're in P4 and 5 respectively. Can they go on the offensive together and work as a team to maybe secure a bit more success? As the lights indeed are out on that Mustang.
Grip evidently on that Mustang as well. Did you see that turn into pit lane? As Middleton puts the power down, and with 13 laps to go, the BiS Indy 500K is back online. And Middleton brings up the speed very nicely. Marcamini having to keep an eye out for Benderlid. We've got Ben Colley and Andrew Hardman, the teammates at MTC Motorsports, drivers trying their best to get their cars onto the podium. This is a big chance for them. They're the only 2 drivers in this top 5 who are actually teammates, and they can work together to get that done.
Yeah, it definitely is a huge opportunity if they play it right, but that doesn't mean it's going to be gifted to him. Cedric O'Hayan has picked up a black flag, and I do see he's got a 2X and an off-track as well, so something's going on with the Lima racing car, now driving slowly, as I see John Bemberlid as well. The yellow flags come back out.
Yeah, and it was for O'Hayan. It looks like he might have gotten a black flag off the restart, potentially. Yeah, because he actually, I think, ended up passing someone. I'm not sure. Maybe it was for the incident limit. I think he might have hit the incident limit. So James Carter was slow coming out onto the restart. But O'Hayan ended up losing it, I think, in turn 3. Not ideal for him. So we're on board here with O'Hayan. We see it all happening ahead, and Carter very wide, lifting off the throttle. That's fine. The black flag wasn't for that because the race had restarted at that point. But you'll see O'Hayan find his way through turn 2 here and try and get into the slipstream here. The problem is with the weaving here, it puts you offline a little bit for the next corner, and O'Hayan's trying to tip it in here. Through turn 3, you see the understeer. He's just trying to crank the steering on, but it's not enough. And he smashes into the wall, back out onto the racetrack.
Thankfully, able to avoid that.
Very lucky there, didn't he?
Yeah, very, very lucky. I think James Carter decided, you know what, I'm going to sit back on this one, and I can't fault him for that in the slightest. But that does indeed mean the yellow flag comes out. And I've got to say, impressive that he's been able to limp that car back to the pits. Definitely not what he had in mind. Actually, let's take a quick check-in on the fast repair status. I can tell you that the leader, 2nd place, 3rd place, none of those drivers cashing in on the fast repair. Ben Colley, he's the first highest ranked driver. He's cashed in on that. Andrew Hardman, Kostek Solo Edge, yet to use it as well. And then the only couple remaining drivers are indeed Clay Morris and Ian Pagadala, yet to use that fast repair. Fair to say, a lot of money's been spent here at the Doppler BiS 500.
Yes. Plenty of repair bills, and you can't imagine how expensive fast repair technology is to completely refresh a car in just a few tenths of a second. Man, yes, I think we were collaborating with CERN and using the Large Hadron Collider to get that one going.
That's definitely way too scientific for me. But speaking of Doppler, I got to say they're interested in secret management, and certainly the budget spent on repairing these Indy cars will indeed be a bit of a secret for sure. Thankfully, it's iRacing, ladies and gentlemen, so indeed nobody gets hurt. Well, I mean, you can get hurt with a direct drive wheel, but it doesn't tend to happen too often. But yeah, definitely not what these guys had in mind. But we're going to be bringing it down to a 10-lap sprint now, with the closing stages of this race is finally upon us.
Yes, indeed. Lights still on the pace car, so it looks like we're going to be getting going with 9 laps to go. The question is, how hard are they going to be pushing? Mark Amini, crucially, getting into the lead versus Cade Middleton. And he will have the luxury of that clear air. I don't think he's going to be doing his thing of staying a car width high of the bottom. He'll be going right down to the low line. But Middleton and Benvelid have shown themselves to be aggressive when needed. Colley and Hardman, still that outside factor in the MTC cars, the white ones running in 4th and 5th. A 1-2 would be an excellent result for them.
It definitely would be a good point scoring opportunity as well. Don't get me wrong, points leader Shane Larson, he's been out for quite some time now. He gave up the ghost and is currently showing us 86 laps down. And Nelson Mason was actually the first retirement, currently 99 laps down, and that number is indeed going to climb. Definitely a few retirements here. A couple of drivers still in the session. It looks like Cedric O'Hayan at this point has indeed retired, as has Christian Grisco. But that does mean a potential opportunity there for James Carter and Rashad Jane to potentially snake up onto 17th and 18th place, respectively.
There's been a lot of drivers who've had heartbreak here today, and probably a good dose of anger and frustration as well. You know, our championship leader was out of the race an hour ago, and our pole sitter was out even longer than that. But now it comes down to the guy who started in 14th versus the guy who started in 19th. With Markamini and Middleton leading us away here. Benvalid from 22nd all the way up to 3rd. Can he maintain the pace here as the green flag flies? And we are back on for the final run to the green flag. Please let there be a clean run for the next 9 laps. We want to see a race here.
Yeah, definitely. Nobody wants to see a race finish under a yellow flag, as these drivers are really, you know, the Teddies are going to be out the pram, and you can already see here battles are getting spicy. That's going to be 3 wide as they're heading down, and that's contact. It looks like Benvalid's been caught up. Huge contact there. Benvalid, 0 to 0, absolutely murdered in that corner.
Yeah, Benvalid, and it looks like Hardman. Oh, that's such a shame. See, okay, so the problem here for Hardman was we had Mauricio Parada trying to gain places here, and Hardman went high for Collie and Parada, but Benvalid, it looks like, lost a bit of speed on the way into turn 3, and I think that caught Hardman out.
Yeah, definitely was not what either driver wanted. It's fair to say at least no other cars were involved, but I mean, I have to say, I just feel so much for Benvalid there. He was having such a good race. He was able to climb up so high. But on the good side, he does have that faster pair remaining, as does Andrew Hardman. Both of these drivers with a meatball flag currently. You see Benvalid there in the pits, missing the right front wheel and nose cone, and indeed probably a little bit of pride at this point as well. If we take a quick look at the car of Andrew Hardman, it does tell me that he is already out on the move, so he looks like he's been able to limp that car back into pit lane, all 4 wheels present, and that is indeed going to save him from a tow.
It certainly is, but Benvalid had no choice but to take the tow, so he's going to be in there for a few minutes now. I think he might fall off the lead lap as a result. I'm looking at that incident again, and it looks to me like there was actually a little check-up ahead of them. Potentially, the momentum in the slipstream might have caught Hardman out, but Benvalid was actually lifting off because Middleton and Markamini were potentially a little bit slower into turn 3 as well. It's just a case of maybe a bit of situational awareness needed, but also I don't think you can really blame Hardman for that. Parada all the way down to the inside and going 3 wide with the MTC cars. A very aggressive move, but those are the kinds of moves that you can expect this late into the race. There's a wave around for Michael Broomhead. He's finally back onto the lead lap.
Yeah, I gotta say, if he pulls a podium out of the Dole Zero, I will be mightily surprised at this point. But I can let you know that John Benvalid has disconnected from the session. I feel so much for him. Definitely not what he had in mind, and he would work so hard to get up to there. But now the new the hard charger has for a while been Kostek Solowich. They're in 5th place. He's moved up into 5th place, ladies and gentlemen. 22 positions gained, but right now, very, very. Very spicy climax here for the end of the BiS Indy 500.
So, lights still on the pace car. We are going to have 5 laps to go when this caution period ends. It seems like we can't go more than about 9 or 10 laps without there being a caution. And sometimes cautions have come out with barely half a lap complete. So, genuinely don't know what to expect from these final 5 laps, but if there is a crash and the caution comes out with 3 laps to go or less, then we will finish under yellow. Let's try and avoid that, shall we?
Yeah, definitely not what we want to have happen. Everybody wants to see a race to the end, and looking at this, it's going to be a spicy one. I mean, you want to fight as hard as you possibly can, but you got to weigh up the risk versus reward at this point. And, you know, there's a lot that could be thrown away, which I think is pretty much what happened to Andrew Hardman, but he's still managing to stay with that lead pack on the lead lap as well. Managed to get away with that incident quite well because he drove the car back. Definitely some interesting things here, but Mauricio Parada has managed to put himself up into P3 now. He's used his fast repair. He's had 16 incident points, actually the 2nd highest in the session. Christian Gritzko with 20 incident points and Richard Jane with 16 incident points as well. So definitely a few of the more involved drivers, I guess, when it comes to collecting some penalties.
So lights are out on the pace car. The pressure building back up now for Mattias Marcamini. Completely new to this grid. I didn't expect him to be a factor here, but he has emerged as one of the star drivers of this race, and you can hear him revving the engine up to heat up the oil in the engine and maybe burn off some fuel so that he has a light car to the end. This extra caution that we've seen has probably meant that a lot of these cars are heavier than the drivers want them to be at this stage. All you need is 5 laps worth of fuel at this stage. Get down to that number, and you will be able to have the law of physics work in your favor. Pace car in. Green flag high in Barney's hands. And the green flag flies. Great start from Mattias Marcamini. I see that potentially Clay Morris and Kostek Solovey might have a go at each other for the last position in the top 5. Oh, slide! Oh, dear, Pagadala, Milwain. Oh, no, another big crash.
And another yellow.
Oh, come on, guys.
I'm actually feeling for Mike Broomhead at this point, the guy who's, really footing the broadcasting bill for this one, because this is one of those things where your drivers are literally costing you money. It just sounds so cold. It's definitely not what we wanted to have happen. You see Ian Pagadala goes a little bit wide, gets caught up on another car, and absolutely ricochets across the track. Fair play, a couple of those drivers did manage to make it through. Looks like Broomhead was one of them. But I can tell you that James Carter's got a black flag, Caden Goodrich has got a black flag, and Ian Pagadala has got a meatball flag. But he still has that fast repair remaining, albeit I believe he towed to the pit, so he's going to have to account for that.
Yes. So, yeah, the incident was caused by Pagadala going up the inside of Milwain in the first corner. That's what kicked it all off. Milwain, you could argue, should have been a little higher, but I think that's going to be something for the stewards to figure out. Pagadala, of course, being the car making the move, ultimately, I think the responsibility is on him to make sure that the move is done cleanly, but you can never quite predict what the other driver in the situation is going to do. Caden Goodrich went right into the battle there, and there was actually a secondary incident between Rishabh Jain and James Carter. Carter, I think, saw the crash happening in front of him and lifted straight off the power. Rishabh Jain didn't quite get the memo.
Yeah, definitely Rishabh. He's currently rocking 20 incident points himself, and Gritzko taking the top of the food chain on that one. Definitely not an award that you want to pick up. But I got to say, out of everybody, so what's really fascinating about this particularly is if you look at the safety rating, so Rishabh Jain, a C class and a 1.57 safety rating, okay, you would expect a few more incidents, but our race leader actually has the lowest safety rating in the session, and he's winning with 0x.
That just goes to show you that the numbers that you get in official racing are not the marker that you should determine someone's talent by necessarily. In a hosted league like this, it really doesn't matter what your I rating is, what your safety rating is, what your license class is. If you're able to negotiate the race in a way like this that Marcamini's been able to manage, then fair play to you. You know how to negotiate Indy, and I'm just amazed at the form that Marcamini has had here. He played the strategy game perfectly. He's been able to keep the pace of the leaders, take advantage of the issues for everyone in front of him. You could argue that on pace alone, someone like Shane Larson or Mitch Green should have won this race, but at the end of the day, it's not just pace that wins Indy 500s.
Oh, absolutely not. Certainly, there is indeed a lot that goes into it, and often underestimated. People just go, "Oh, okay, they're just going around an oval, for 125 laps." So there's a lot more to it, a lot more control in the vehicle. Certainly, we're watching these guys adjust fuel maps, adjust I think it's called a weight jacker as well, or a wedge. All sorts of adjustments inside the car. Then there's a strategy as well. I mean, how hard do you want to fight? Certainly, I'm not going to say who it is, but I'm pretty proud of where they've managed to move up to at this point, and definitely a few drivers coming a little bit unstuck. All of the favourites you would have necessarily picked out, they're already out of the race and have been for some time, and I can say that we've lost Ozzy Milwane in this as well, so he's going to be, he's currently in P13, he's going to be probably moved back to P14 as Ian Pagadala is here, but still surprisingly in the pits despite having that fast repair available, as these guys are... I do wonder, they're going to get one green flag lap, so this could be very much make or break. I've got a feeling this is going to end with a lot of debris.
Yeah, this is the exact scenario that is going to induce a big incident. At the very least, we're going to get a great battle for victory. But at worst, I think we might see a crash across the line. Who knows how much these drivers are going to push the envelope here. His lights are off on the pace car, and we will have one single lap of Indianapolis Motor Speedway remaining in the Doppler BiS Indy 500K. Build the momentum, build the pressure, turn up the volume, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Marcamini will enter the restart zone very shortly. The green flag will fly and he will be away. He went a little bit earlier than the green flag, so that's given him a good advantage over Middleton. Coming into turn one, tip it in, and all he has to do is keep the foot pinned to the floor here. Middleton going low in turn two. He's going to pick up the slipstream. Defensive from Marcamini. He's going to force Middleton to go to the outside. Have a look at the weave there from Marcamini. And up the inside for for Mauricio Parada, getting second place. And a bit of contact. And Parada almost gets spun around there. He gets up into the wall. Massive crash. Parada, Solovey, Morris in the wall. Matthias Marcamini across the line will win the BiS Indy 500.
I got to say, that was definitely... We're going to have to see a replay of that. From what I'm seeing right now, Cade Middleton came second, but has a black flag. Clovis Girard eighth, but a black flag. I want to see a replay of that, probably in slow motion. That's... I've got some opinions, but I definitely need to investigate further before I can confirm them.
I don't see a black flag for Cade Middleton, but that might be just my iRacing there. Yeah, so this is the incident there. And I understand why Parada did this. He had the lead in his sights, but yeah, just lost that little bit of momentum there, and Middleton got into the back of him. Yeah, I think he might have gotten the black flag for incident limit there, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Parada...
Keep watching Parada.
Yeah, he was able to recover the slide, but then it just induced another one, and it looks like netcode contact there for Kostek Solovey. Of course, he's racing from Poland, so you have to take netcode into account. Poor Clay Morris there, completely uninvolved in that fight, and that's going to cost him massively. I
gotta admit, though, Kostek Solovey wins in my mind, because that is the most baller crash I have ever seen at BiS.
And it looks like not many people are fans of Mauricio Parada amongst the drivers right now.
I can understand that.
And it looks like, confirmed, Cade Middleton did get an incident limit black flag from that contact with Parada. That gave him the final two incidents that put him over the line. But hey, look, we'll talk more about the drama later. Now, it's all about Matthias Marcamini, who was an absolute superstar in this race.
Yeah, something that's bothering me about that is the amount of weaving going into that. Now, I'm going to have to check the rules, or somebody more informed on the rule side of it, but I was surprised there was not a bigger accident with that, and I think it kind of did have a little bit of an influence on that, but I do see we have one driver who is waiting in the interview room, and I gotta say, I think this has got to be his best BIS finish, ladies and gentlemen. Much to our huge surprise, in the nicest of ways, we have the fourth place driver in here right now. Number 16 car, Mr. Richard Swindells, who sadly, there you go, producer's fixing it. He's not the BIS Indy 500 champion, not today, but our fourth place. Richard, tell us, what magic did you pull off to get such a good result?
Well, Zippy, let me tell you, when you're as good as I am, coming in fourth is a little sad, but you know, I suck at ovals, but I'm good at avoiding crashes, and that's what I did today. Yeah, I can't believe it. I got fourth. I am so pumped. I am pumped, baby.
What? I gotta say, if he gets pumped any harder, Hugh Hefner is indeed gonna have some competition. But I gotta say, Richard, what an incredible! I mean, I said it earlier on in the broadcast. You know, attrition is your thing. You know, racecraft is your thing, and outright pace maybe isn't your strongest thing. Certainly has the same kind of qualifying pace as the Toronto Maple Leafs, which I know is a bit of a low blow, but one that the world will indeed understand. But Richard,
Hey,
I gotta say, go on,
Zippy,
sir. Mhm.
my bladder lasted, and that was a long race. This old man still got it, baby. And I'd really like to congratulate the guys ahead of me. I think one of them we may have bumped a little earlier, caused me some damage, but congratulations to Matthias, I guess his name is, Ben and Daniel for getting podiums. It was a lot of fun, even if there was way too many cautions, so I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that may indeed be a record for the most amount of cautions. Richard, I don't know if you're reading the broadcast chat, but we got Robert Ridgway in there. Piranha in the water, Swindells, waves kindly, which is the Robert Ridgway, Robert Ridgway signature catchphrase. Taught him everything he knows, and I'm not going to say the next line, but mostly how to, and it rhymes with jump. So, Ridgway, very proud of you there, albeit you represent in Pit Road Productions. I've got to say, a good result, an unbiased opinion. But we're still actually waiting for some more drivers to join us in the interview booth. But Richard, that's definitely going to be a good points haul for you.
Yeah, I love it. I had a great time. I'd like to thank you, Reese, Christian, for the broadcast. Mike Broomhead putting on a great league. I love racing with BIS. I've been with them a few years now, and they always put on a really good series for us. And I guess we got to thank our sponsor, Doppler. I'm not really sure what they do, but I guess they give some money. So, hey, thanks, guys.
Yeah, definitely a huge thanks to them. And Richard Swindells, I gotta say, I'm honored to have you in here in a driving point of view. Fantastic stuff, and we're looking forward to seeing you at the next round, which, if I remember rightly, is Detroit. Now, we do know that I have. You love it. Okay, tell us a little bit more about how you're going to prepare for Detroit.
Well, I'm from Burlington, about 30 miles west of Toronto. I've been to about 12 Molson Indies. That's what I grew up watching racing. So street circuits I love because you know what? I'm not fast, but I last, and that's all what it's all about. Zippy, I don't have to be fast. You just have to last. So if I can do next week what I did, or next race what I did this race, I'm hoping for another top 10.
That definitely is going to be the catchphrase for Richard Swindells, ladies and gentlemen. But a huge congratulations. We're going to leave him to it and take a quick break here and a message from our sponsors.
Well, a big thanks, of course, to Doppler for the continued support of the BiS Indycar Championship and the Indy 500. Second place in the end for Ben Colley, who joins us here. Ben, I think one word or one term that can describe your race is an adventure. You ended up getting involved in a few incidents at the start. You were put way back, and ultimately fighting your way back up the field there, joining your teammate Andrew Hardman in the battle in the top 5, and getting second in the end after that last lap crash. I mean, there must be so much going through your head right now.
Yeah, it worked out all right, eh? It sure was a busy race. The plan changed quite quickly from the get-go. I was originally hoping to just spend most of the race in the top 5, avoid too much dirty air, but obviously that didn't work. So ended up just cruising around the back, trying to avoid incidents. Couple lucky cautions with my fuel timing that helped me get back up to the front. And then the last few laps kind of played out as I had intended the whole race to.
Sorry for the mic sound there. Yeah, honestly, it's still an improvement on your starting position. You did start in 3rd for this one, and I mean, +1 positions gained in the race is the final sort of stat from this, but it does not tell the full story. What did you think about the racing here today? It was broken up by a lot of cautions, plenty of big crashes. I think most of it was just about survival.
Certainly was for the vast majority of it, especially getting caught up at the back of the pack for most of the race. It was quite busy back there for probably 2/3 of it. It settled down for quite a nice green flag run in sort of the last third of the race or so. I think we did 30 something laps, did some green flag stops. And I was hoping we'd run green to the end because there was a pack of us at the front that were all racing nice and close, good clean racing. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, and turned out to be a little bit more chaotic and still eventful, still fun, but yeah, quite an adventure.
Well, we go from the high-speed, billiard smooth Indianapolis to the twisty, bumpy concrete canyon of Detroit Belle Isle. How are your preparations going for that one? Obviously, probably not the first thing on your mind after just finishing on the podium at the Indy 500. But next round of the championship is certainly going to be just as important in terms of keeping it clean.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I still got to buy that track and learn it. I'm more of an oval guy than a road guy, so I'll probably be going back to where I belong, mid towards the back of the field for the rest of the season, but having no less fun.
Excellent stuff. Well, is there anyone you want to thank before your performance before we let you go, Ben?
I guess thanks again to Andrew, my teammate, who finished just behind me, and thanks, Mike, for putting on a good show.
Thank you very much for joining us, Ben. Hopefully we can chat to you in 2 weeks' time.
All right, have a good night, guys.
Ben Colley there, finishing in 2nd. And, well, Zippy, it looks like that might be all we have time for. I don't think our race winner is going to be joining us for a chat, unfortunately. But, yeah, honestly, it's a brilliant performance there from Matthias Marcamini. We'll go through those unofficial results first. Marcamini taking victory from Ben Colley and Daniel Blanco ending up getting onto the podium. We completely missed that in the midst of all of the drama. Remember, Blanco was one of the cars that brought out a caution earlier on. He was way down. That's a big surprise. Swindell's in 4th and Hardman finishing 5th. Michael Broomhead, he ended up getting back on the lead lap at the last caution, and it translates into a 6th place finish, with Cade Middleton and Clovis Girard being the last finishers on the lead lap, Mauricio Parada and Kostek Sauvier rounding out our top 10 there, with Parada and Sauvier dealing with plenty of damage on the run to the line, Zippy.
Yeah, definitely. I do have a feeling there will be a couple of protests coming in, but we're going to worry about that in due course and remind the drivers to give it 24 hours just to let things cool off. Certainly, I do appreciate that racing is very much it's a passionate thing. I get it. I know I'm definitely not my best self in certain incidences, and that's one of the reasons I commentate rather than race, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly not my fine side. Maybe a little bit of Jekyll and Hyde, or indeed a bit of Bruce Banner and the Incredible Hulk. Albeit I don't quite have the same kind of skin composure as the Hulk, but definitely a gentle reminder for that, and we'll keep things on the civilized side, ladies and gentlemen. Anybody who is particularly aggrieved, by all means, you can send me a message, and all I'm going to do is hear you out, acknowledge it, and remind you to take 24 hours. So just, keep things civilized, guys. But as we have a look at P11, we've got Clay Morris from Radical Canada. Tyler Scrally took P12, which was definitely looking like he could have indeed been on the podium earlier on. Ian Pagadala was in 13th, with Ozzy Milwain in 14th. Caden Goodridge there in 15th. With John Beverly, definitely not the race he was looking for, but alongside teammate Cedric O'Hyan, both of these drivers, actually all 3 of those drivers in real Radical race cars. Absolutely fantastic, gentlemen, indeed, from 15th, 16th, and 17th place, with James Carter in 18th, Christian Gretzko in 19th, and Richard Jane closing out the top 20.
In 21st place, Eric Fenson, 68 laps off the leader. He was one of the front runners early on, but unfortunately crashed out. Same for Nicholas Colander and Phil Nellers there. Mitch Green, our pole sitter, that is one of the big heartbreaks of this race. He was out so early, didn't even make it. 30 laps into the race. Marshall Crocker Jr., we also lost, including our championship leader, Shane Larson. Could be a big point swing with that lack of a finish. With Harlan Gilborn and Nelson Mason, the first drivers out of the race. Well, Zippy, I think that's going to be the end of things here for the BiS Indy 500. And man, what an event! Like, if you want drama, this event served it in spades.
Yeah, definitely maybe a little bit too much on my end. I'd say, don't get me wrong, I get it, it's racing, but some definitely a few moments I think that will get looked at again after the race. Certainly myself, where I'm impartial, I don't race. I have a feeling I may be getting pulled on the stewarding side, in which case bribes will get you nowhere, but they do help, ladies and gentlemen. In the nicest of ways. No, they're not going to help you. My integrity is not for sale, but certainly a spicy round. We're going to have to see how that works out for the rest of the championship. Indeed, certainly, I don't know about these drivers, but myself, I am not one who forgets easily. So there's definitely going to be a few people who are going to have to keep a closer eye on their mirrors going into the last two rounds.
Yeah, for sure. Well, if you're interested in catching the next round of the championship, it will be at Detroit Belle Isle in 2 weeks' time, back to our usual start time, it being a conventional round of the championship. So with all of that, I think it's time for us to say goodbye here on Pit Road Productions. Daniel Salmon leading the show here. I'm Reese Gardner. We also had Christian Delgado behind the scenes, bringing you all these live pictures on the Pit Road Productions YouTube channel. Thanks very much once again to Doppler and all associated sponsors here at the BiS Indycar Championship. We will see you next time.